Better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Body.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Cap, co-hostless today, but we have a special guest joining us at around 9 a.m. Eastern. Excited to share with all of you, not just a special guest, new partner, and going to be doing some fun stuff here over the next few months. Grateful for the partnership, and we often talk about how fortunate we are to have founders and teams join us that are pushing the space forward. This one is certainly doing that, or maybe bringing us backwards to push us forward, if that makes sense. A little bit of foreshadowing there. If you're over on YouTube, you can get a glimpse of who, or YouTube or Abstract, you can see who that new partner is tagged in the title, and we'll add it to the X space here soon. But again, as always, appreciate y'all being here. Never need financial advice this year. Crypto's risky, MT's risky. It's all exceptionally risky and volatile in a market like this. So please don't join us for financial advice. I'm certainly not your financial advisor. Just join us for some fun, some information, and a little bit of education along the way. Now that I got that out of the way, a little bit of cold open, and then we'll get into the news of the day and trending topics. Speaking of trending topics, we were talking a little Pokemon 30th anniversary, and what created such hype and popularity around that IP. I don't know. My guess, I'm not deep in that ecosystem. My perspective was Pokemon Go. I know it was big before Pokemon Go, but I think Pokemon Go played a role in driving the excitement and awareness and demand around those collectibles today. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I'm not deep in the ecosystem. I'm not knocking it. I just don't think the IP itself is anything special. It was, it's marketing, distribution, and stories, narratives, etc. I know that's, some people are going to upset some people when I say the IP is not anything special, but again, it doesn't stand out to me as any IP that is, oh, that's so great art or such cool IP. I just never resonated with me like that. But I'm not knocking her success. I will say, someone says the intro song was fire. Intro song for Pokemon game, I guess, on Nintendo. I just I missed it. I'm dating myself here a little bit, but I was a big gamer as a kid. I was basically full fading games by the time Pokemon dropped, and I don't think I've ever played Pokemon on any game. Maybe played Pokemon Go for like a brief second, realized it's just not my thing, but never played any of the video games. I just wasn't my thing. Little late to that party. Now, one thing I did play was GoldenEye. Shout out to my guy Pack Rip Ewing. If you don't follow Pack Rip Ewing, he the name came from, he was early to Top Shot days. Just he's actually leads socials now for MoonPay, and the guy on his personal account, I mean MoonPay probably as well. I haven't actually looked, but on his personal account, been on an absolute heater on X. Has, like, for the last week or maybe last 4 days at least, had a video post that has went uber viral, at least in our world, in our corner of the internet, like 500,000 to 1 million type views. One of them was a paid homage to GoldenEye and that era of gaming. The man behind Pokemon, I can't watch the video right now, but explain to me, why the JFC comment, Von Frunten. I'll watch the video or the song later, but was it? Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing here. Anyways, couple of things. I didn't plan on getting into Pokemon right off the jump. A couple cold open topics before it hits 8:10 that I did want to hit on was I might be all in on hockey. I didn't even watch any of the Olympics until the gold medal game. I saw some highlights and then watched. I got up, well, not that got up. I'm always up at that time, but normally I'm not watching TV whatsoever at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It's kind of like a get stuff around the house type day, get some grocery shopping done, etc. And I instead spent 2.5-3 hours watching hockey on Sunday and was hooked. If you missed it, USA won in thrilling fashion in overtime. Jack Hughes scored the golden goal. The goalie was just absolutely incredible, standing on his head. Quite frankly, Canada maybe not dominated, but they played better for most of the game in terms of like shots on goal, and they couldn't get past the goalie. He was unbelievable, and really enjoyed it. It got me. I don't know. I haven't fired yet. I sent out a tweet yesterday. I think this might get me into best ball drafting. I might fire some best ball drafts, might play some DFS, might do some sports betting. I don't know if it's the most exciting sport in the world, but I used to, like, I was into it big time as a kid with, like, when it was, I'm really dating myself here, but like NHL, probably like 94, 95, whenever like the dynamic duo of Fedorov and Yzerman played for the Red Wings. That was some fun hockey time. And I would watch.
Yzerman.
What is that? What's that?
Yzerman.
I would watch like the Stanley Cup playoffs. I wouldn't really pay too much attention in the regular season, and then I got really into it during the playoffs. Just fun format, and it was a lot of fun. And actually, it's pinned over here. You can't see it on the ground, but when I was in my Verizon store era, we sponsored the Evansville Icemen. Was a minor league hockey team, but they were Yzerman. That's what I said, right? I know you don't pronounce the Y. I'm confused. Anyways, I digress. It's not going to be the first name I pronounce wrong in this show. Yzerman. Yeah, that's what I said. I was correct, not Joey, right? Mayhem, the Canadian can solve this debate. I'm pretty sure Yzerman is the correct pronunciation, but I will stand to be corrected as a mispronouncer of words and names and not deep into the hockey streets today. Yeah, I thought the Y was, again, no one else cares except for me, Joey, and Mayhem here. But fun era of hockey back then. During the we sponsored this team. It was like we had a really good stadium. It was in Evansville, Indiana, and the Ford Center was for minor league hockey pretty nice. Like I think probably like seated 10, 15,000 at capacity. And part of the sponsorship, we got ice seats, and I'll see if I can find this picture. But it had a lot of fun. The players were fun. It was great minor league hockey. Like you're pretty much guaranteed to fight every single game. And I haven't followed the sports for a few. I feel guilty. I watched the gold medal game, and I started feeling guilty because I live in a great hockey town. Like the Lightning won multiple championships since I've lived here in the last 5 years, and I have not yet been to a Tampa Bay Lightning game. So I started feeling guilty and added that to my to-do list this year. Is going to go check out at least one Lightning game, and I very well may go hard in hockey best ball and all things hockey betting, just solely off of one gold medal game. Also kicked off 2-a-days this week. I fired back up the Peloton. I had not subbed for a while, and starting today, got a good workout this morning in, and we're going to be getting at least a 20, 30-minute spin in a day moving forward. If anyone wants to ride some fictional bike with me, hit up, I'm just same handle, Chris Jordan on Peloton. I think I'm like 25 spins away from 1,000 after having not ridden for a few years. And then last but not least, and I'll let Joey get in here, I said I was going to watch Alien movies this weekend. Joey, thank you for the long recommendation. I didn't watch a single Alien movie, but I did start a new series, 56 Days. Pretty solid. It's trending. It's Amazon Prime original, so I think they probably juice those numbers a little bit. But it was anytime they do their own show. But it was trending #1 on Amazon Prime. Started it, and it's like a murder mystery with a couple of psychopaths. And I don't know how it ends yet. I've not finished it, but I'm invested to find out the outcome. I'll just say that. And I have not watched last night's Night of Seven Kingdoms. Please don't spoil it. No spoilers today. We'll save all the spoilers for tomorrow when Outer Lumen joins me, and we'll get deeper into it then. But way past my bedtime, so I've not seen the season. I believe the season finale last night. But I'm loving the lore, loving it's in the worm. No other author can spin a story over 300 years and multiple generations quite like George R.R. Martin. Joey, go ahead, GM, and other than our Iserman pronunciation, what else brought you up this morning?
Yeah, so on the hockey thing, it is giving the I don't know if they call it the MVP or most outstanding player, giving it to Connor McDavid over Hollebuck.
I didn't get it.
Is that not the biggest highway robbery in awards that we've seen in I don't know how long? Like, how do you not give it to the USA goalie who had like a 960 save percentage? Like,
yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I did not watch all the other games, so my opinion only comes from the gold medal matchup. Like he led scoring, but he only scored 2 goals. Like, come on. Like
he had 2 goals, 11 assists. Like he was great.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying Connor McDavid wasn't great, but like
you could say
the USA goalie literally shut everyone down.
Yeah, USA does not win. I'm certain USA does not win the gold medal without the goalie. And pronounce his name so I get it correct.
Connor Hollebuck.
Hollebuck.
I think that's how it's pronounced. It's spelled like HOLLEYBOCK or something like that. I think it's Hollebuck.
I think I'm just going to call him Holly or Buck, one of the two. But yeah, McDavid, I think it's named. You didn't win the gold. You scored 2 goals. Yeah, 11 assists is cool. But you could argue that his teammate Celebrini with 5 goals and 5 assists might have been more worthy if you're going to give it to the losing team. It's just really, I think probably one of the worst MVPs, most outstanding players. You got to go with the goalie who stood on his head. Like in the one save, I know it's not the greatest save of all time as far as like one single save, but as far as the magnitude of the game, and that's like the equivalent of a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup or the Olympic gold medal match, a team that hasn't won a gold in 46 years. Also says it's not, if it's not a series award, it's a game award, then it's got to go to the goalie. I don't, just bad. I don't know who makes that decision, but yeah, I guess it was most point. It was a new record for most points in a single Winter Olympics in the NHL era. But again, 2 goals. Like if he had scored like 8 goals and had 3 assists or something, maybe. Come on. You're giving a guy that scored 2 goals over a goalie that stopped one of his breakaways, stopped Celebrini's breakaway. I think it was those 2. Anyways, had 2 incredible saves on breakaways, had the most insane save like behind the thing, and yeah, onslaught. I don't know how many he ended up with. Over 40 saves though in that matchup, including some that just I know there is some luck involved in a game like this, a matter of inches, but yeah, he should have won MVP hands down. Go ahead, Joey, back in here.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to comment on was the last thing you just said. Now, what was the last thing you said before you asked me to chime in?
Regarding hockey, or
no, after that. I don't know. I completely forgot now. I'm sorry.
I mean, mostly Pokemon and hockey has been the
yeah. I can't remember, but anyways, sorry.
Zonko says, I think the success we're seeing with 97 Kingdom is almost similar to the success of the Seinfeld pilot season.
I remember now.
This felt like a pilot season. Seinfeld obviously on a whole other level, but can't help hoping we're going to see longer seasons here. Oh, I agree. And they've already said like they want to make not just multiple seasons, but going to do it in waves where I think we might get like 3 to 5 seasons in the current era, like the current ages of Dunk and Egg, and then fast forward until like middle-aged Dunk or middle-aged Egg, get another 3 to 5 seasons, and then fast forward to adult Egg and another 3 to 5 seasons. And yeah, I'm here for it. I am a big fan, and we are actually discussing potentially going back and watching Game of Thrones again, just to like. I actually am envious. I'm jealous of those who have never seen it before. I've seen some takes on the timeline. Like I saw someone, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't watched it, but people are like losing their minds over some things that happened in the original Game of Thrones. And I'm like, oh man, how great would it be to have be able to watch that full series, not knowing what happens. I think considering going back and rewatching it just to connect some dots to House of Dragon, to 97 Kingdoms, and for those that aren't familiar or not watching, it's basically you have Game of Thrones and you have House of Dragon, which takes place 300 years before Game of Thrones. And we have currently what's going on in 97 Kingdoms, which takes place about 100 years before Game of Thrones. And while it's different characters, it's the same families. And so you get stories like grandparents. And I don't know, it's just how the story is weaved in with these bits of, it's not even like, yes, it is character building and character development, but it's like family tree development. I don't know how to best explain it. I can't think of another. I guess the only other thing I could think of, like in this vein, would be like Star Wars. But even Star Wars didn't span as many generations as does the Game of Thrones world. Go ahead, Joey.
I remember the blasphemy on J.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all of that whole, like, that spans multiple generations. Like, I'm not saying I've never seen, I'm going to be honest, never seen any of Game of Thrones, never seen any, like, and I keep saying I'm going to watch it. So I'm not talking shit about it because I know it's amazing. But J.R. Tolkien and what J.R. Tolkien did with, The Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings and then and then they had the series that came out on Prime. Like there's been so much. So I'm not saying what the Game of Thrones thing isn't amazing. I've heard from everybody it is, but I think kind of hard to put it above what J.R. Tolkien has done.
I don't know, man. Hard to disagree. I've watched them both, and like Lord of the Rings is fine, but it did nothing for me like the Game of Thrones world has done. Like it's just 2 different levels. Lord of the Rings, fine, it's good, but I like they're not even in the same tier for me. Also, like last bit, we do got to get in some Web3 news before I bring our guests up here in about 40 minutes. Yes, we could debate Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, sure, maybe the best thing happening in TV series right now is the war between Breaking Bad fans and Game of Thrones fans. I don't know if you haven't seen this. It is pretty comical. Sorry, mute that. So the last, I think it was the final episode of Breaking Bad, it had a 10 rating, 10 review, one of the like the highest ever, obviously, for the longest time. And then some Breaking Bad fans started giving like 1 ratings on 97 Kingdoms. People were talking, oh, it's just as good, it's a better series, blah, blah, blah. And now there's this back and forth of like, I guess they're real, but they're fake reviews. They're doing it, it's like PvP from Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones fans. So much so that the Game of Thrones official account just came out with a video. It was pretty good. I'll see if I can find it.
If they had to spend their ethos points, maybe they wouldn't be doing this to each other.
That's right. Yeah, I can't find it from Game of Thrones account, but it's quite entertaining. It's stupid and pointless, but it's like, man, it gives me early Web3 vibes. That's all I'll say. Gives me early Web3 vibes for sure. The PvP, I don't think is the worst thing that ever happened here. Like it definitely added some. They were talking on Pingu, Pingu space earlier this morning about the mutant mint, and that was inspired by. Let me go grab it. Actually, our guy Jack GK, he published his interview with Luca recently, and Luca was talking about how mutant apes and mini mutants, and that was like his big, as far as like financial windfall in crypto, that kind of set him off. And good interview from Jack. I want to give that some love. James Hall says, I think the difference between Tolkien and Martin is Tolkien was actually in war and saw how terrible and what damage it does, and Martin did not. And the style of writing shows that. Interesting. I'm going to think about that more. Dobbin says Lord of Rings is for kids and Game of Thrones is for adults. And I'm wondering if that's what James is referring to, is that Game of Thrones is more gruesome, and Tolkien, who had experienced war, did not want to show that. I guess I need to unpack that a little more. James, if you want to add to that, help me. Am I catching what you're laying down there, or no? Anyways, we went a little too far. Payne is probably in his behind the scenes shaking his head that it's a guest day and we've got 23 minutes of cold open material. But this is it's all current news when we're talking at least Olympics, and I guess Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, not the most current, but nevertheless. Markets are, they've recovered a little bit. Bitcoin went down below 65K. It's as of this morning back up to 66-ish. 66 159, down 2.5% on the 24-hour. ETH down 2.28%. It's 1920. XRP flat. BNB down 1.5%. Solana down 4.49%. It must have lost 80, I'm guessing, during as a local bottom there. Hyperliquid down 7% on the day to 27. Doesn't feel great, but it's also, it just feels like more of the same. Like this, we get a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a relief bounce that doesn't feel great. And all I know is just volatility probably continues. I'm not expecting anything to just rip or melt faces. Extreme fear still at 14, or fear and greed in extreme fear still at 14, almost breaking into the fear. But just nothing really to get excited. I mean, people got liquidated 200 million. I think I saw in liquidations once again. The probably more, NFTs are a little better story right now. At least some more newer mints we'll talk about in a second. But we referenced this global uncertainty index. Let me see if I can find a current chart, because until things kind of settle, macro wise, it's hard to picture markets really taking off. And we have not just whatever is happening in Iran. The U.S. now has more forces over there, I think, than since maybe like Desert Storm. Would that make sense? Like I'm not hoping for war. I just, until either some sort of resolution takes place or war breaks out. I mean, please don't take this out of context. It's just like historically, war is bullish for markets. After the first, like it'll probably be an initial sell-off if there is conflict, an actual conflict breaks out, and then things usually run for a good period of time. I'm not hoping for that. It has bounced a little bit, like meaning be a little more certain. We talked about it. We first brought it up. It was over 100,000. That looks like it was back in September. So we didn't talk about that recently. Now it's back down to 80,000 on this GDP weighted average. So I guess a little more certain than uncertain, but still just until we figure out what's going on in Iran, and now add Mexico to the drama. It looks like a war zone in Mexico after one of the cartel leaders was taken out. And then so you have all this jockeying for who's going to be the next leader. And apparently it was the Mexican government combined. I haven't seen this verified, but I believe it was Mexican government combined with some support from the US government. And they took out one of these cartel leaders. And now the cartel is like wars broken out on the streets, buildings are burning. It's just, it's a pretty wild scene. They shelter in place alerts or warnings. And there was, people traveling who were supposed to go back, from the Northeast, from New York City or in that area, and had basically been stranded down there and are just having to lock themselves in the resorts because, there was this big snowstorm in New York. Hopefully everyone's okay up there, by the way. I haven't seen anything too tragic other than it just looks like dumped on with a bunch of snow last night, more coming today. And therefore travel is come to a halt. Anyways, between Mexico,
there's a travel ban in the Northeast. My dad lives up in Jersey, and all of them in New York and New Jersey, like all the roads are closed. They're encouraging people not to go to work, not to go out on the roads. Like my family sent pictures from Staten Island and New Jersey. They got hit really hard, and they weren't even the ones that got hit the hardest.
Well, yeah, my brother sent me a picture of the snow this morning, and he says, wash my truck in shorts on Saturday, and then sent me a picture of the snow-covered streets this morning. And I go, how much snow are you expecting? This is such an Ohio answer. How much snow are you expecting? He says, anywhere between 0.5 inches and 48 inches. So very, very Ohio-esque, not having any idea what they're actually going to get hit with, and the wild swings. I said, I feel like I'm in Ohio this week because we had good weather. It was like, beach weather on Saturday. Then yesterday, a little windy. And then it's supposed to like a crazy cold front today, tomorrow. Not quite as cold down where I'm at. Like it's like a low of 39 degrees tomorrow. But up in a little further north of Tampa, they're calling for like in the 20s. So parents last Friday at the lacrosse game, we're talking about, we're going to bring some blankets for Tuesday's game. I'm like, blankets? Like, I'm going to break out the snow gear if it's in the 20s. Like, forget that. That is, this is, I get my dad award for attending a lacrosse game in 20 degrees. I know this is also super soft to me, but that's what Florida does to you. You move down here, your blood thins out, you get soft. Hans W., thank you very much for the big Pingu tip over there. Greatly appreciate it. Speaking of, Katie and her husband are watching Game of Thrones, rewatching Game of Thrones every night. Be Epic also says best show of all time. Season 8 does get too much hate. I will say that if it wasn't, and this is where not only does season 8 get too much hate, people often attribute that when I give George R.R. Martin credit, it's people would ding him for season 8. He had nothing to do with season 8. I guess you could say he hasn't finished the book, so therefore it's his fault. The first 6 seasons, they just adapted George R.R. Martin's material in the books to the show. And it was one of the best series. Many would say it was the best series of all time. And then the ending let people down was because the showrunners dropped the ball. The showrunners basically created their own script, their own screenplay. And I just know one, like very few. I don't know a single person that liked the ending of Game of Thrones. That says a lot for a show that was so acclaimed as Game of Thrones. Usually it's like some people, oh, this was good, this was great, this was okay. It's almost unanimously regarded as a bad ending. And not to spoil for anyone, it's just I think they could have done a lot more with it. I'm certain it won't be this ending that George R.R. Martin finishes with when he ever does finish the book. But he's also starting into a couple other series lines, a couple other errors. Before finishing the book, someone said, I heard this is a bold take this morning, that the book may be finished, but it's not going to be released until he moves on posthumously, because he doesn't want to deal with the backlash if people don't like it. All that said, markets, I mentioned we'll talk a little bit about NFTs. We'll hit on them now at a high level, and then we may come back to it. We will come back to it when we bring our guest on, at least to some degree. But there was this big article that dropped on future of AI, and maybe one of the first took AI does everything we're expecting, and that's bearish type stance. Citrini, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. We'll pull that up here in a sec, and we'll dive into that a little bit. Also, disclosures seeming inevitable, imminent, I should say, rather, here on X for paid advertisements. I'm all for it. I think it's we went. It wasn't even like the InfoFi. It was like pre-InfoFi and then maybe post-InfoFi. A lot of big accounts just decided to stop disclosing their partnerships, and it's a bad look. I think it doesn't help with the crypto PR reputation. And Nikita is he took a shot at someone who was posted it was a Kalshi ad and didn't mention it was a sponsored post, and he commented and said, add a comment that this is a sponsored Kalshi ad or your account's getting suspended. And like they're going to add a disclosure button, I think, if it is a paid ad, and I'm for it. I'm sure not everyone that creates content on this app is for that, but I think it's proper. It's the law in most places across the globe, and I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good for cleaning up the app, just like it was good for elimination of the AI slop. Today's news, this is good tie into NFT market update. Is today's news: Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs attract new buyers in 2026. Shout out to Welcome Apes. Welcome Apes, I saw added 60 some new members in January, already 58 or 59 thus far in February. And this is like from the Twitter news button about the new Bored Ape Yacht Club members. PB Man had a post. Stephanie, I'm not sure who this is, but lifelong bot. If you know, you know. I'm not even gonna give the person credit, but if you know, the ape she purchased here. It's so funny how our brains work, because in my head, this will always be that individual's ape when I see it. I know it's been owned though someone else who got pretty, was pretty active with this ape on this app. But when I see this, I always think of I don't know if he minted it or purchased it early, but definitely during the mania, there was a particular controversial personality who rocked this PFP. And in my head, it's impossible for me to disassociate that in my brain. Maybe someday, but not now. But again, congrats on the ape. And I'm gonna have to search because I don't see. I should know this when they're hosting their weekly Welcome Wednesday, but looks like it was last Wednesday, so I missed it. Anyways, this was one I was referencing. Already welcomed 100 new apes to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. 120 new apes, 61 in January, 59 already in February. If you've recently, if you've recently picked up an ape, you want to be following Welcome Apes account. Lal and Dort and Marav all do an incredible job. A great community-led initiative there, and we need more people like them in crypto, in Web3. I think it's part of what makes the space so special. I'll talk about NFTs a little bit. Sorry, I know I'm bouncing back and forth here, but I do want to get into try to figure out how much time I got with this Citrini article, because it is a long read, and so we'll do our best to summarize it for you. Thank you very much for the tip, Green Edge. And Katie knows. Katie knows. If you're curious who I was referring to, you can head over to Abstract, and Katie dropped the alpha. Abstract is alpha almost every day gets shared in there. I appreciate all of our chat wars. So real quick, looking at NFTs, Pudgy's up 2%, Apes flat. It's 4.62, 6.10 respectively. Punk's down slightly to 29 ETH. Hyper's flat at 493, although Hype lost 7% on the day. Normies pulled back after their big pump, 0.05. There's some mechanics here, some burn mechanics I saw, like you can customize some stuff. Like I haven't dove into this collection yet. We talked about it a little bit on Friday. And again, for a new mint that was near free, had some, even with the 25% pullback, still good success early on. Although I will say it's kind of like a game of hot potato. Someone mentioned with these new mints, you never know. Like Del Mundo's, it is up 9% on the day, but it's down from where it ran up to, I want to say like 0.15 at its peak. Moonbird's up to 0.14 or 1.4, excuse me, up 5% on the day. Although I think it ran up to like 2 ETH on a big sweep. Someone swept a bunch of Moonbirds that pushed its floor up to 2 ETH. And then you saw a sell-off to bring it back down to 1.4 or a little lower before the pump. And then someone swept like 106 Bitcoin puppets, creating a little bit of surge over in ordinal land. Mr. Sheeb is also another new mint. I think this was a free mint. If not free, it was close to free. It's 0.02. And yeah, Hizzy, I will, the X video is live, should be live on the Coffee with Captain account. I will grab that link here in a second and pin it up top. But Mutants, as we talked about, up 3% to 0.9. And Corky's also at 0.9 now. Good Vibes Club at 0.89. Those three, I think, are if you had 1 ETH, you buy a Mutant Ape, a Quirky, or a Good Vibes Club. If you had 1 ETH, you got to spend it on one NFT. Which of those three do you go? I'd have to think about it a little bit. I hold a Mutant, so probably it's going to go. And I also heard a Quirky, so probably Good Vibes Club is my answer, just because that's the only one I don't have in my holdings currently. I'm a big fan, minted a few, and yeah, I should have one. I sold a couple, made a right play, but then didn't re-enter fast enough. Glitchy Bunnies was ones that minted out here recently as well. It's 0.02. That's I think down slightly from mint. I think it was a 0.03 mint, if I'm not mistaken. 4.2. But yeah, activity, a lot of volume, at least relative to what we had been seeing. And the one common theme, the one common denominator of those that are really winning in 2026, whether these new mints or OG ones, the OG ones that are winning in 2026 are the ones that are have moved to a royalty protected contract. A little more foreshadowing there. Joey, go ahead, and I'm going to go grab the Coffee with Captain live video feed while you do that.
I think it's the interesting part, I think, about the NFTs is like I have I drafted. I minted that Netizen on Mega ETH, and obviously I grabbed some Del Mundos, and then so a couple other ones on Mega ETH. But like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like they're like the ones that are doing well are just the ones that are like for vibes, right? Like Del Mundos didn't really have still don't think they do really have like this like roadmap utility thing going on. I mean, it helps that, is it TMA or TMA, right? Got behind them, probably a little bit. The same with like Netizens. I don't believe they have like this big utility roadmap. So is it just that like people are back minting or buying for the vibes again?
Maybe. I would say a little bit with Netizens. My take would be it's on, it's a Mega ETH collection. And I think some people might be speculating that ecosystem, if and when that ecosystem takes off, it's likely that Fluffles, Netizens, Bad Buns, that some of them are rewarded with airdrops, would be my guess, or allow list access, etc., etc. To Del Mundos and normies, maybe. I'm curious what other things. Are we back to just the era of vibes, and that's what's sending NFTs, or is utility, which I'm pro NFT utility and access. I think it got overvalued, and which led to some utility debt. I think people were buying NFTs at in 6 figures, expecting to get monthly or quarterly dividends for life, and that just wasn't sustainable. But I think, as we talked about a little bit on Friday, especially those, and I'm not saying royalties should be the only source of revenue. Hard to build a business relying on just that, but it's a great, it can and should be a great revenue stream, especially for those that are active, especially for those that are reinvesting into their ecosystem, whether it's in the form of events, in the form of perks for holders, in the form of with Good Vibes Club buying the Vibester token. So great question. I don't know if it's just purely vibes and art related. Del Mundo's did some 3D sculpturing and some unique stuff there. People seem to really be jiving with the art, the community. Obviously, Good Vibes Club. Also, it's the only merch I have that I'm certain is a royalty protected contract. Hence, this was actually a thought out T-shirt today, going with the vibes and the Good Vibes Club merch. Shout out to that team. They've never paid me a dime. They did grace me with an honorary Good Vibes Club and gave me some free merch. So if that's buying my love and attention, it did. But it is not, they've never paid us a dime to speak positively about them. We have many, many times. And I love how they're moving. I love what they're doing. And while yes, it's primarily vibes, there is utility. It's not just vibes. They're really leaning into, it's high quality art. They're also really leaning into the collector mentality with those badges and the Vibester flywheel. And yes, if you have those badges, you qualify for the raffle, which sometimes has been Good Vibes Club. I think the next one, Dork, correct me here, I think the next raffle is the Punk, or when are they raffling off the Crypto Punk that they purchased at the Node Foundation? And then Hizzy, you should see, I actually did post it. I'll put it up top right now, the link to the video chat, or the video feed rather, if that's where you prefer to watch the show. That's pinned up top now. Let's go back to Joey for a response, and then we'll bring in an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, the same could kind of be said about Good Vibes Club. I mean, I pay pretty close. I hold a few of those, and I pay pretty close attention to that ecosystem. But it's not like they have this, like, the 2021, 2022, we put this big roadmap on our website, and it's like Q1, we're going to do this, and Q2, we're going to do that. Like, they're just kind of like doing stuff, right? And it's not announcements of announcements, and it's not like mystery and intrigue. They just keep doing stuff, right? To your point, they have the raffles for the badge holders. They're coming up with new badges. Like, they have this open edition that I believe is closed now. Where
man, you're right. I fully, that's a miss. I fully planned on minting one of those, and I didn't do it right when I thought about it. Got busy, and yeah,
I think it closed on Saturday, maybe Friday, yeah. Saturday. But like, so now there's a new badge that if you hold, I believe you have to hold a GVC, and then you have to mint the open edition. And then they've said they've hinted, but like almost said there's going to be 12 of these things. So I'm assuming one per month.
Yep.
And then if you hold all 12, there's going to potentially be, so meanwhile, announcement of the announcement, I guess I lied. They kind of do it. But that if you hold all 12 of these, there could be something else. So they're like, yes, there's not this like utility driven roadmap, but they keep finding ways to reward, to keep you involved, to keep you engaged, right? And then obviously Vibester is a huge part of that whole thing and the vibe wheel.
There is utility for holding a Good Vibes Club, but I think they're not leading with it. I think alignment is probably a better word than utility. Is they're bringing their holders and supporters along. This used to be table stakes in NFT PFP land, is that it wasn't just building in public. It was if the brand, if the company, if they were doing something, if it was some sort of activation, you got some advantage for holding said asset. Now, most of them are like scared of that, it seems. And I don't, I use the example of like, if I go buy $100 of merch and I hold the asset, give me a free pair of socks. Give me a free fanny pack. Give me free shipping. It doesn't need to be free stuff all the time. I'm not expecting magical internet money. Just show your holders that they matter. Think about traditional loyalty rewards programs. Last time I ate at Chick-fil-A, it was free. And I don't even buy that much Chick-fil-A. But it's the only like quote unquote fast food place I'll eat. and I probably didn't even download that app until like a year or two ago. And I don't know why. I think I was ordering some food for my daughter, and she was picking it up. So instead of just sending her money, I just bought it or created the order, and she picked it up when she got there. And then I immediately got one reward. I was like, well, I should just use this app every time I order at Chick-fil-A. And last time I went, I got a free sandwich and fries.
I did, dude. I ordered Chick-fil-A this weekend and opened up the app. Same thing. They were like, you have a free sandwich for nothing, just for like using the app. Here's a free sandwich. No points, no nothing, just free sandwich.
Yep. I feel very strong about this, that NFTs unlock more. You can do more with the technology than you can off chain. Let's lean into that. It was a big deal when Bored Ape, if you had a Bored Ape, you got into a gated merch drop. Now, I know gated merch drops in itself aren't the thing, and I know they need to sell to people beyond crypto and outside of Web3. I get that. But you can get first dibs, you can get first access, you can give discounts on like things like free shipping or free socks. More of that and move it forward. You know, we talked about brand coins with Reccoin and how they're evolving the traditional loyalty rewards programs. There's so much more that can be done with NFTs and these assets. I would like to see more experimenting and more of that. And Idiot GM, thanks so much for joining us. What brought you up today?
Good, G Mizzle. I'm actually out here scraping snow. Did snow a little bit here. I'm in like South Central Pennsylvania. Not quite as bad as a little further north, but we got about 4 inches of snow. I just wanted to touch a couple of the NFT things that you guys were talking about. Netizens, first of all, I only have one. I sold one at the top, but they let's see, they had a little pump. It's a Charlotte Fang kind of embraced artist, right? Which is kind of a big deal for that ecosystem in a sea of derivatives. Most of them are not embraced by the actual milady guy or gal, depending on how tapped in you are.
I thought for sure it was a guy, no?
Sorry, what was that?
I thought for sure Charlotte is a guy, no?
Yeah. But a lot of people haven't. Some people are paying attention more than others, you know. But yeah, Shiro, definitely really cool art. I'm a fan of it. I'm probably going to scoop another one here soon because I agree with you. Like, there's not a lot of NFTs on Mega ETH right now. They haven't TG'd yet. It seems like a good thing to speculate on, although obviously nothing promised. But yeah, they did pump a little bit the other day because there was a burn mechanic announced where you could burn 5 of these things and get a one-on-one commissioned by the artist. It's kind of cool. The glitchy bunnies, I thought I heard you say that was a free mint. I don't think it was a free mint. I think it was a paid mint, and then I think they actually had to cut supply.
Oh, 0.03 I think is where they meant it. Maybe like 0.03 to 0.035, depending on what phase you were in. I did not realize they cut supply though.
Yeah, they did cut supply.
He's right. They cut supply.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they can't do well. I mean, obviously, again, there's not a lot over on Mega ETH right now. It's, you know, kind of a derivative of bad buns, which, you know, could do. I don't know. I don't have any, but, you know, speculate at your own risk there. And then you mentioned Mr. Sheebs earlier. The Mr. Sheebs are up a little bit because the artist was actually on a space last night, answered a few questions. Granted, you know, anything he said could not be true, right? But he did touch a couple of the issues that people were concerned about. One of the things was that the account had apparently been a couple other handles previously. He says that was his personal account that he ended up rebranding, and that's why. So it used to be his personal account. And then he also said that it is not AI art. Some people speculated that it was AI. He's saying it's not AI. So, you know, there's some people getting behind that. I have 2 of those.
Does it matter?
Full disclosure.
Does it matter if it's AI or not? Do people like it? I mean, I know some people
I think
care.
It does. I think people want to touch something that like an artist actually created. I still think AI art, although it can be very cool and it's getting cooler every day, I think there's something a little bit cringe about the idea that somebody just prompted something and it's low effort. I think the low effort implies that the person, you know, at the levers of power are, you know, potentially not as invested in the thing as they could be if they had put a lot of effort into the art, right?
That's fair. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like, so yes, AI could be very low effort, like cash grabby art, or it can also be extremely high effort and countless hours go into making sure all the traits and everything lines up perfectly. And I'm definitely not anti AI art, although it's, again, to me, very big difference between low effort AI art that's just, you know, a quick, how do we make some money pretty quickly versus high quality. It's also interesting. I just noticed, like, it says the contract was launched in October 25. Did he mention that? Like, how's that happen?
I think he did. To be honest, I was like in and out. I wasn't paying full attention to that space, but I was there to catch a little bit of it, and then saw the floor move immediately after. I mean, who knows how these things will do? It seems like people are kind of into this low cost NFT kind of thing right now. So I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to do a Del Mundos. I do have a couple. I got mine. I'm already like a little bit more than a 2x where I got mine. So
was it a free mint, Mr. Sheeb, or no?
I think, but I can't promise. I bought them on secondary. I didn't mint them. I'd have to ask the guy that put me onto them, and he ain't here right now. The only other thing I was going to say is, I mean, you and I love you guys for this because I'm with you on this, but you guys are always talking about, the NFT tech and everything that you can do with it. And I think the space needs more people like that in it. However, I don't think that most people in the space right now are those people. And I think that's why utility of any sort creates kind of a glass ceiling on price action, because it gives you something to value the NFTs on rather than just pure speculation.
Fair.
And, unfortunately, we're just not there yet on, the people that are in the space and trading. I do think we'll get there. I 100% think we'll get there. And that's why, I always strive to stack up more of the blue chips, the brands that I don't think are going to die, because I think just, the utility will be there, but also the fact that they have a track record and have legacy in the space. I think they'll just be vanity items in general on a long enough timeline. And I think, that can skyrocket prices too. I just think, like, in the short term, especially in the market conditions right now, people just want to buy, low price stuff that could potentially go up, and unfortunately utility kind of can limit that depending on what's going on. I mean, there's some exceptions, right? I mean, like, there's some chains like Abstract where people like clicking buttons and stuff, but and I'm with you guys on that. Like I said, I'm always on Abstract. I'm always clicking buttons. I have a lot of these utility NFTs. I just don't think the whole space has come around to that yet, unfortunately.
That's a good take. I guess kind of where I net out on it is, if I'm looking for a quick flip, cool. No utility. I'll flip it on momentum, on vibes, on volume, and that's fine. But if I'm looking for a long-term hold, I'm not saying the others aren't good. I'm not at a point personally where I need more communities or more digital art just to vibe with. It's just me. It's where I'm at. So if I'm looking for something to where I'm investing in something, I plan on holding it long term. I'd like there to be an and there, something beyond just the vibes and art. But I understand that utility, as soon as you introduce it, it adds potentially a ceiling, because then people are going to attempt to try to value said utility, put a number on it, whether it be annually or lifetime. And best part about this, collect what you want to collect, whatever you're into. Personally, me, I'd rather have the utility component. I'd rather have the potential for something. And I think where you can have both is when there's activity, whether it's new chains, it doesn't have to be just mega ETH, but when momentum comes back and there's more opportunities, the things that currently have the motion, that are currently getting the volume, those are often the ones that are going to be rewarded when it comes to access, allow lists, et cetera, et cetera. Let's do this. I would like to go step away for like 90 seconds, refill my coffee. So I'm going to hand it to Joey. Joey, take it as long as you'd like. And then if I'm not back, maybe see if an idiot wants to get back in here to counter whatever you have to say. But I should be 90 seconds or less. I'll be right back. Joey, it's all yours.
Yeah, on the comment of what you're, I can't see my ex. It's wigging out again. I think your name's an idiot, right? About like utility and stuff with NFTs. I just want to clarify: are we talking about PFP collections providing utility, or are we talking about utility in general for NFTs? Because I think there are a lot of NFTs out there. Well, the idea of programming utility into NFTs is happening, but I think when we talk about it on like this spaces and in general, we're talking about the PFP collections programming utility, correct?
Yeah, right. Can you give me an example of what you mean exactly? Because I mean, look, in CT, when most people say NFTs, and I know that that's not actually encompassing of the entire NFT catalog, but just it's common jargon, we're talking about PFPs, right? That is what I meant.
Okay, I figured. As somebody who works in, in the space, like I don't like using I try not to use the term NFT as like when I talk about PFPs, because we at BZ, we have NFTs, but our NFTs are tokenized collectibles. They're not. So I think that like part of what we need to do better in this space, in my opinion, is start to segment out the different NFTs that are available. So when we talk about them, we're not lumping all NFTs into this category of like, oh, there's nobody here. I'm not saying you're not wrong with what you said, but like saying like, oh, there's the people that are here aren't the ones, or that aren't going to be able to program utility or offer utility or whatever. When specifically it's like we're talking about people running PFP collections. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's a great example. I didn't know you were with BZ, but that's awesome. I'm a big fan of BZ. Shouts out to Profits and everybody else over there. Yeah. I fully agree. I just, I think, the lingo, unfortunately, kind of is what it is, and I appreciate that you want to make a delineation there, because I do think that's important.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I solely agree with you. I think most people, even non-Web3 people, when they hear NFT, they immediately think of Bored Ape, they think of like Pudgy Penguins, they think of PFPs. It's just that the idea that a non-fungible token can be many things, and I like, again, and it's not going to change anytime soon, but it's just something that I try to be conscious of whenever we're having these conversations of like,
Can I ask you a question? Do you think it might be better not to, like when it comes to something like BZ, do you think it might be better for the onboarding of people to a platform like BZ to not use the crypto terminology though at all? I mean,
we don't call them NFTs on BZ.
Right. So like, I don't know. I mean, not to be facetious, but like, I just think, making that delineation, I agree. It's kind of important to be specific with language, but also sometimes for the good of like the ability to onboard people to a platform, just hiding the entire crypto rails, like the crypto rails for a platform like BZ is not really the point, right? Like, so I don't know, maybe
100%.
The phrase NFT could be a black mark almost to a lot of people on that.
For sure.
I agree with you. And that's why when we describe like the process in our description of the process, it's the asset comes into our vault, a digital twin is created, right? Like we don't say, an NFT is minted on the blockchain. Like we don't say that stuff, because the reality is that people don't care, right? Like, and to your point, if you start using some of that jargon, it'll turn people off. So I agree with you 100%. It's just in these conversations when we make statements, and I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I'm just saying I think it would be helpful if we start to change the way we describe things and say like, I don't think PFPs right now, PFP collections or PFP founders or whatever, versus just NFTs in general. And I know what you're saying. Most people, that's what they think, but I think it would be helpful for us to start to change that moniker.
I agree. I think we need a new moniker. So coming out of Art Basel, it was very clear to me that digital art greater than sign NFTs. We need to start calling it digital art instead of NFTs. People, the normies, no pun intended, the collections. I look at top royalties by collection over the last 7 days, and they've generated over 40K. Second, right behind them is Del Mundo's, another new collection. Then third is Mr. Sheep. This is insane. Sorry, we're going to get to this in a minute. Digital art is a much better way to describe a Beeple than calling a Beeple piece of art an NFT. I think what's missing is, and with RWAs, whether it's a digital twin or a digital counterpart or a digital asset, also makes sense when talking like things like BZs or like BZ. What do we call Bored Ape? What do we call?
Can I play devil's advocate here?
Yep.
I agree with you, but just to play devil's advocate, a phrase like digital art, when you hear about art, do you think about an artist and the piece of art, or do you think about a community behind the artist and the collections? I guess what I'm getting at is when you hear the phrase NFT, or even if you want to say PFP, I don't know. When I hear the phrase NFT, it implies in my brain still a PFP with a almost cult-like community of, potentially thousands of people that are going to push this thing and be super fans of this brand. The second you start saying digital art, I lose all of that extra connotation and I'm only focused on the thing itself.
That's
Does
kind of
that
my
make
point.
sense?
It does. That's my exact point. Is like, so I think like it's fine calling a Beeple digital art because it is. It's just art that's on chain. But I think when it comes to these NFT, PFP community collections and therefore communities, we need it's more than just digital art. Even something like Good Vibes Club, which is really good, high quality digital art, whether you're into that style or not, like the details, like it's real good digital art. It's very different, in my opinion, than I know Beeple. There's a community of people that love Beeple, sure, very different than, to me, the two are not the same. Just like I like my PFP, but calling it digital art does not describe it. And I also think like NFT PFPs aren't the best. Like we need a new descriptor for what we here call NFT PFP collections. I don't know what it is.
Even with people, I would be shocked, and maybe there is, I could be wrong, but I would be shocked to find that there's a group chat on Twitter of a bunch of people sharing their Beeple posts or like interacting with each other on a regular basis every day. I think that is digital art, right? But it is different than what we're doing for the most part on CT.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think there's an opportunity there. We need help with the rebrand. We need help with the we need some PR help in NFT PFP land. I got
Where's Steve Bark when you need him?
Yeah, right. Real quick, I have to mention Diablito. It's not lost on me that a day after the U.S. knocks Canada off for gold, he's posting picture of 3 bald eagles. Thank you for that. And then Proof Alpha DJ, I saw your hand flip. We do have our special guest here. I want to bring them in here in just a matter of minutes. So you got a quick 30, 60 seconds, quick lightning round, and we will move on.
You know good and well, I can't do 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Digital art, I think this, man, any movement of significance in the world, in history, has had resistance. And I think we are moving towards digital art, NFTs, blah, 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 whatever you don't want to call them. It's going to move that direction. And that resistance, we're going to always have a resistance initially. I think it's going to get adoption. I think it is going to go forward. That's my 30 seconds.
Appreciate you. Diablito says if it's just art, call it art. No need to have the digital. Valid. Dort adds those communities do exist for X copy, big time. It is like, I know it's not just because of grifters, but do you think that grifters, the X copy PFP collection, has something to do with those communities not just existing, but maybe as vibrant as they are today? Would those X copy communities exist if it was just, the X copy 1-of-1s or the small editions? I don't know the answer to the question. Here's what we're going to do though as we segue. I mentioned this article. We're not going to get into it today. It's an extremely long read. So if you're not into reading 10,000 plus word essays on X, my recommendation, here's the alpha, is go grab the link. It is pinned up top. You can go grab the article and drop it into Notepad LM from Google and have it create a podcast for you. And you can read about the 2028 global intelligence crisis. Kind of a cool format for an article where it basically, you can see here, it actually, I don't know why it shows it here. When I first looked at, here it is. So it's got, February 22nd, 2026, and they strike through that and they call it June 30th of 2028. So it's written from the perspective of June 30th of 2028. And in the TLDR is the bullish thesis on AI happens. Everything's automated, productivity, efficiency is high, but yet it's very bearish for humans and the economy, et cetera, et cetera. I'll leave it at that. I think the reality is probably somewhere in between the doomers and those that think we're all going to be extremely wealthy, never have to work again. So with that, he says, Dora says, the grifter ownership brought people together and they celebrate the art. Also, DoomDAO brought people together. to buy together and discuss the art. I still think we are, maybe like, so our special guest we're going to bring on here in a second, they're bringing back and then pushing forward the NFT, not just NFT PFPs, but that's what we'll probably focus on a little bit in terms of royalties. They're bringing back royalties for sure. Then after they get this solved, the next thing maybe they can work on solving for us all is DAOs, because I think DAOs theoretically, conceptually made sense, reality and execution wise, other than like those that were just purely to collect art. Very inefficient, didn't work. We saw struggle after struggle, and I still think there's an opportunity at some point that we could see a DAO 2.0. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like. Probably bigger brain than me, but someone that I know was actually two individuals I know were very involved and deep in DAOs. Mr. Aaron Haber and Ernest Lee, welcome to the stage, gentlemen. Honored to have you joining us today. Super excited to talk about Unvault and Divot and all that you're building. Truly mean it when I say pushing the space forward. Honored to be partnering with you all. Yes, this is a sponsored interview, but it's not just because they were willing to support us financially. It's something I'm extremely passionate about. I've been beating the royalty drum long before this. We went into it deep on Friday with another guest. And I just said it. I'm just going to flash this chart and then I'll do a proper introduction. I literally went and looked in real time as we were having the conversation, and my reaction was a genuine reaction. I'm floored that in the last week, you see here's top revenue. So Normies, Pudgy Penguins, Bored Ape Yacht Club. Then you scroll down a little bit and look at top royalties over the last week. Brand new mint, brand new mint, brand new mint. OG mint that's moved to a royalty protected contract. A mint from about a year ago that has royalties protected. What don't you see on here? In the top last week, the top royalties, you don't see apes, you don't see pudgies, you don't see moonbirds, despite them doing the volume sales. Like, people are buying them. Volume last week, pudgies are number 2, apes number 3. Then you got a couple of ordinals, but just wild to me that. I'm sorry, that was trading revenue. Looking at volume, it goes Pudgy Penguins, CryptoPunks, which have always been free. Apes, number 4. Little Pudgies, number 5. It's just wild to me that we're seeing this, where you've got brand new collections. Like, that's 40, like, is it sustainable? Are they getting more because they're new and it would just mint it out and you're seeing some flipper volume and some position? Yeah, sure. But go look at the last month. Last month, you see Del Mundo's, Good Vibes Club. Then you got Pudgy. Then you got Bored Ape Yacht Club. Then Quirkies again. Then Normies. I don't think it's been out a full month yet. Then Moonbirds. And I'm not knocking Bored Apes. I'm not knocking Pudgy Penguins. I'm not knocking Moonbirds. But I hope some people on the team listen in today to hear from Aaron and Ernest on what they're building at Unvault. Not just Unvault, but what they're doing with Divot is also revolutionary. They've got some patent pending protected technology here that have teams moved to royalty protected contracts. Sure, look at Quirkies, case in point. It's difficult, requires dev. They're making the process simple for anyone that wants to make the move. And not just simple, I think the way they're doing it is very powerful, because you still, well, I'll let them get into the details. Without further ado, Aaron, Ernest, welcome to Coffee with Captain. Appreciate you being here. Excited to not just have you on today, but have you on a couple times in the future, as well as some of the teams, some of the business builders you're working with. I'm going to be kicking off an upcoming segment here. If you've been around for a while, we've done some other similar builder type segments. We had Ape Chain Architects, where every Monday we brought on a builder on that ecosystem. Here, we're going to have the opportunity to bring on and highlight builders who happen to be building in a world of royalty protection and what they're doing with those extra funds. But without further ado, Aaron, Ernest, welcome to Coffee with Captain. Appreciate you being here. GM.
Good morning from Las Vegas and
Hurricane, Utah.
Today I learned. I did not know Ernest was from Utah. I'm a big fan. It's like, if we're going to get snow in Florida this week, I may as well just jump on a plane and go to Utah and enjoy the snow versus being mad about it. But big fan.
I actually lived in North Florida for about 13 years up near Lake City. And so I moved to Utah about 3 years ago.
What can I ask why? What took you to the mountains?
So I own a couple different companies. One of them is a motorcycle company, and I asked everyone at all the companies to decide where we were going to have a home base, and everyone kind of threw locations in the hat. And so I spent a year having fun, traveling to a dozen locations all across the country, trying to figure out where we were going to go. And I settled on Hurricane, Utah, because it's close enough to Vegas that I can shoot down to Vegas in 2 hours, an hour and a half if you're driving like really fast. But it's close enough to California that I don't have to be there, but we can distribute motorcycles to California, which we do, about 30% of our bikes. And so, yeah, it was a good location.
Wait,
before we get into Unvault and Divot and everything you're doing, do you mind both of you? Because I don't want to take for granted that all of our listeners here are familiar with both of you and know your backgrounds. But you mentioned like the motorcycle company, and I think you're doing a lot of really cool things on chain and helping a lot of other builders here move their businesses forward. But do you mind expanding a little bit, filling in some of those dots on your background, and also maybe hit on Decrypted and what you're doing for those? I mean, we're entering tax season here, so there might be some listeners that might need a little bit of advice on that front as well. But we'll go Ernest first, and then Aaron. Do you mind just filling in a little bit, whatever you want to share background wise, not prying, but yeah, anything you'd like to share in terms of background and kind of what maybe brought you to this point with Unvault and Divot.
Sure. I'm Ernest Lee. I'm an attorney and an accountant. Don't hold it against me that I'm an attorney, but I have Board Legal, which is a law firm where I help business formations, trademarks, stuff like that. I have a motorcycle company. Everyone's talk about that one. I own Combat Motors. I bought the company. It had another name, and I reworked it. And Aaron's laughing. And so I'm serial entrepreneur, retired military, retired Army infantry, and medically retired. I had a little accident, but yeah, I've owned companies since I was 18 years old, and so I've unfortunately taken till I was 50 something to just get really good at it. But yeah, I've gotten pretty good at building businesses, and so. Aaron and I ran against each other for the Ape Coin DAO Special Counsel, and we became friends. There was a point there where we were both in the running, and I had a lot of votes that I had bought. I owned the ape that I voted, and I thought that wasn't fair, and so I went ahead and I gave my votes to Aaron. He ended up endorsing Wabam for Ape Coin DAO Special Counsel that time, and so we hit it off, became friends, and we started Board Counsel back in the end of 2024, end of 2024. Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry. So I think something happened with post-COVID that it's near impossible for me to figure out. The only year I remember 2021 and what happened then. You could tell me something was 3 years ago or 7 years ago, and I'd have to really think about it to know which was which. But yeah, it's been somewhat of a time warp.
It's been less fun after 21, 22.
Might have something to do with it as well. Time evolution is real. I agree with Otis. Real quick, you mentioned Combat Motors. Not just any motorcycle company. These things are maybe not one of ones, but some pretty high end, bespoke, really custom stuff that is. If you're into motorcycles, go check out combatmotors.com. One more question for you, Ernest, and then we'll get Aaron in here as well. You mentioned serial entrepreneur since 18. Took you till a little older in life to figure it out. Not to be cheesy, but you see it a lot. If you could go, this question anyways, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, sometimes it's not what you would do, but what you would not do. What's maybe a singular piece of advice if you could think of something that you would tell your younger self in the world of entrepreneurship and business that you've learned the hard way maybe, but what would that piece of advice be if you go back and talk to your 18-year-old self?
I would not mix business with family. That's my biggest thing is that I did for a while. I ended up firing my brother. I ended up actually having one of my managers fire my brother because he didn't show up to work one time, and we didn't speak for years. And I hate that. But my first business was a taxi cab business that I was in with my dad, and we were at each other all the time, and it didn't work well. And so I feel like business and family should be separated.
Yeah, I would agree. Not going to go there, but my wireless venture, and then my phone repair franchise, my more so in the phone repair franchise, my ex-wife was involved, and it was a bootstrap startup. We had ups and downs, and ultimately accomplished the vision, the goal. It's we had took a big swing, and ultimately it worked, but inevitably it added additional stress and pressure in our relationship, because there was just, like, I was always wired. Anything I was doing, I couldn't turn the switch off. Like, I was always, even though I was there, like dinner or kids game or something, I mentally wasn't there often. That was a me problem, but it was just, it's very difficult to separate the two, right? It's very difficult to go hang out with family and enjoy a dinner or a night out and not think about or talk about your day. And sometimes it's not always a good conversation. Anyways, yeah, I would agree. That's probably the same advice I would give myself is keep the two separate, especially relationships on the, significant other or husband. I know there's power couples, husband, wife teams, but yeah, I would run it back differently if I could.
I just fired my 5-year-old. Her coffee is absolute crap. I was like, get me some coffee. It's disgusting. Gone. Go back to your room. You're punished. I get it.
Yeah, I would. I probably should have put my kids to more to work than I did. But I will save us, Aaron. Tell us a little about yourself now that we've. I somehow managed to bring ex-wives into the conversation this morning. Tell us, give us a little more of your background. I mentioned DAOs. I had forgotten the two of you ran against each other. And as soon as you started saying that, I vividly remembered then the delegation of votes. And but yeah, tell us more about your journey for those who might not be familiar, and ultimately what led, from your perspective, what led you to Unvault and Divot, and ultimately partnered up with Ernest.
Yeah, you during your introduction, you said maybe they can solve DAOs, and I'm like, haven't we done enough? Haven't we done enough with the DAO? We are solving royalties, we are solving cross-chain distribution. You want us to also solve DAOs? Okay, we'll work on Sunday this week. Okay, fine, you got it.
I know we're kind of joking there, but are you completely done with DAOs? It was a failed experiment, or do you kind of agree with me that, like, there's something there that I actually am optimistic. I think we will see a DAO 2.0. I think AI agents might play a big role in the administration, a lot of the stuff that gets like the bottlenecks, if you will. I think it could be a lot more efficient, and maybe you see some more momentum there. But are you like 50-50? I don't know. Are you still bullish DAOs in the future, or it's over? And whether you're involved with it or not, I'm just curious, like, your high level. Do you think DAOs have another shot, I guess?
The great thing about Unvault and Divot is that we literally can work with any collection or entity. And so DAOs, bring it on. What we're and by the way, I want to talk about myself too. I mean, Ernest got a chance. I want to talk about myself. But with Unvault and Divot, anybody can come on, whether you're a DAO looking to pick up more members and more activity, or a collection looking to do the same thing across many different chains. Yeah, so why not? We're not. Thank you, Dort. You as well. We're not going to look. DAOs. Listen, I've been trying to talk with Snacks. Yeah, I'm a proud member of the Pizza DAO, and absolutely, Pizza DAO Snacks should come aboard. And yeah, long live DAOs, absolutely.
Yeah, quite frankly, just like NFTs, I think they're going to evolve. There's going to be an iteration that I don't think. NFTs aren't going anywhere, and very similar. I think DAOs aren't going anywhere. There is a lot of good examples. I think we maybe just got a little over our skis. We got a little too, not even just like valuations, but too quickly making them more than what they really were. And Pizza DAO is a great example of one that's a thriving community that's been around, I think, since 21, 22, and it's hard to go to a crypto conference or an in real life event that's related to this space and not have a side event that's sponsored by a Pizza DAO.
I know. I've done events. We had comedy shows at the same event as Pizza DAO, and we had to stop doing comedy shows at the same events as Pizza DAO because they were too insane. People couldn't pay attention to the comedy shows because Snacks and crew, and I say this with love, are too insane. If you ever have a chance to go to a Pizza DAO party, go to a Pizza DAO party. It's fantastic. And Cap, even though we are sponsoring these segments, I did not have to pay to hang out with you in person multiple times. So we go back. It's been fun. I don't want to say like, oh, I think people know me and know Ernest, but I've been full-time Web3 since 21. I used to do a daily show. So kudos to you, Cap, because I know how difficult it is to do a daily show. I didn't enjoy it. I stopped. You were on episode, was it 1021 or something? I mean,
1102.
Yeah. 1100. We just toppled over 1100, but it's okay. I won't hold it against you for
Congratulations.
Sure. No, thank you.
And by the way, I remember, I brought this up to a founder last week. I remember getting yelled at. I'm not going to say by you. Let's just blame Steve. I remember getting yelled at about saying royalties and migrated contracts should be tied to club utility, events, all kinds of things, like ask people to migrate, and those that do, give them the perks.
Yep.
And no, how can you? Why? So, and again, I'm taking time away from myself to talk about myself, but I want to say that I think it's very important. I think royalties are very important. So my point that I'm coming to is that I'll sure. I'm born and raised in New York. Okay. Lived there, for a very long time, Manhattan, etc. Comedian for 30 years. Trained in Chicago with the Second City, IO. If anybody wants to look up Del Close, I trained with him. Ran my own comedy business. I was a serial entrepreneur, just not in the same vein, comedy wise. I actually met my wife doing comedy. She was a comedian too. We got married at the Friars Club in New York. I used to teach comedy at Princeton University. And then we pumped out a bunch of kids and said, Manhattan life is not for us. And so we loaded up the car, moved out to Beverly. No, we did live in LA for a couple of years, but ended up in Las Vegas, which I actually love living in Las Vegas. I minted my ape in Las Vegas. So been here since 17, throughout the whole pandemic, throughout the whole, big push for NFTs. And one of the reasons I got into NFTs, by the way, is because, being a comedian for almost my entire adult life, comedians get treated like shit all the time. It's very hard. Like, like the big comedians, but there are thousands, probably tens of thousands of comedians who are just struggling. And when I heard about NFTs, I thought, here is a way for artists of all kinds to gain royalties on their IP without giving up true ownership of it. Now, PFPs, digital art, yes, you can give up ownership of it, and that's fantastic. But when I first came in, that was the big pull, royalties. And then you find out after you're in the space for a little bit that royalties are just a social contract. They're not built in. But the social contract in 2021, 2022 was sacrosanct. No, that's not the right word. Is that the right word?
That's too big a word for me. I need Steve to help me out with that one. That's
they were concrete. If anybody didn't pay a royalty, it was like hush hush OTC. You didn't talk about it because you were ashamed, right? And then the space started to turn a little bit into code is law, right? And then you had a couple of collections. You had one collection in particular, I think it was D God, say, forget royalties. And you had one NFT trading platform in particular, I think it was Magic Eden, say royalties are going to be optional for this collection. Then it spread out to other collections, and OpenSea said, well, we're losing trading volume, so we're going to do it too. And then it became sort of a race to the bottom. And listen, I am like 25% degen on my grandfather's side. Okay. I love making money with NFTs and it used to be comedy, now it's NFTs and digital stuff. I get I want to make money too. I love degens, that's fine. But once we go full degen and we click the button to turn the pictures off, right? And we say we need 100% of this as opposed to 97.5% of it. We've done the experiment. We see where the market goes. And it's not just royalties, but the switch to full degen, with the trading platforms chasing after that, with the collections having to figure out monetization without any royalties coming in, we see how that has worked out. And the answer is not great.
Yep.
Is it the only thing? No. Is it a big thing? I think yes. And so after a while, and I got into NFTs in 2021 when all the comedy clubs closed and I lost all my gigs. And I decided, let me learn a new career, focused on writing, but also really focused on NFTs, which I looked at in 2017. I was like, this is really interesting. And then kind of like forgot about it again until 2020. Got full time, ended up meeting Ernest 2023, 2024. We actually met in, was it Austin?
We did. We met in Austin.
I think it was Austin, and shared information about
what brought you together in Austin.
Well, I was doing the comedy show during Consensus, and Ernest just goes to all the events, and we were running, and it was during the time we were running against each other. We met up for coffee, and unfortunately not with Captain, and we hit it off. I shared everything I knew about DAOs, about the space. Ernest is very smart, obviously, and we hit it off. And it was not too long after and Ernest, I wish you would have let me tell the story about you giving me your votes, because I think it's better when I tell it, as opposed to like, hey, I did this great thing. I could say Ernest did this great thing. It was really, really selfless. But I said, we should work together. And it took me about 6 months of nudging Ernest every once in a while, go, we should work together. We should work together. And then finally, we decided to work together. One of the first things we did was acquire bulls on the block.
Mm-hmm.
I could not get a bull on the block during mint. It was a huge gas war. And then I ended up, partially owning the whole collection with Ernest. So that was not on my 2024 bingo card. But that was really cool because I love the history of NFTs. And then we kept talking about royalties and, how do we monetize? How do we help the community? How do we, and it just came to a point where we said to each other, well, it's not legal to share royalties with your with your holders. It's a security, and we said, well, okay, fine. So is there a way that we can have the holders share in royalties with, in a legal way? And so, Ernest being a lawyer, me being a creative genius, Ernest is as well, we came up with this idea called the divot, where collections take a certain percentage of royalties. Some collections have done 50%, some have done 100%, some have done less, and they put it aside. And if you are a holder of that collection and you follow their rules, which generally are pretty simple, like don't list, right? Then per NFT that you own, usually you get a certain percentage of those royalties. Now, it is because you are licensing back your IP, your art, your character to the collection to use in like social media posts. Good morning from, my weirdo character. They're not going to take and open a restaurant or put you on beer, although that would be cool. It's like minor things, and even if you're not used, even if your PFP isn't used, you still get to earn part of that pool. And so at the end of it, if the collection is giving away 50%, you're getting a piece of that 50% for being in that divot pool. Voila, you can share royalties and not go to the pokey, not have the FBI knock down your door. And so that is the divot. And we've been doing it just Ernest and I. Live Fast has been helping us with the numbers. God bless Live Fast. But we are now in the finishing phase of having Quit audit the contracts, because Quit is the best, right? And we're about to launch the Divot Unvault system, which is a basically automated dashboard where collection just signs up, says, okay, here are my rules. Here's how much I want to distribute. Here's the frequency. It can be as long as a year, which I don't recommend. It could be a quarter. It could be a month, a week, a day, or even instant upon sale of an NFT. Oh, this NFT just sold for 10,000. It has a 1% royalty. 50% of that is going straight to the Divot holders. Boom, it just happened. My favorite game is going to be just checking my divots all the time. Oh, how much should I get today? How much should I get today? That's the Divot in a nutshell. Okay, Ernest, did I forget anything about the Divot?
No, sir. That's yeah. The Divot is a secondary royalty. Then you covered that.
Oh, but also the Divot strategy.
Yes.
Right. Which I got to give Ernest credit for, and also we are partners as well in a different company with Simple Farmer in Clutch Labs, and we were all thinking about this. We were thinking about it a little bit first, but along the same lines, a Divot strategy, which is that your collection cap, coffees, little cute coffee cups. I'd buy that. You can give, let's say, 40% back to holders in the form of a Divot, which is just, I got paid, right? But then 10% maybe, or whatever percentage you want, can go towards buying back the floor, just like a strategy coin. So there's no coin. It's just taking that royalty stream, buying back the collection, and then deciding what to do with it. Do you relist for 20%, 50% over? Do you vault it and keep it? Do you lock it up forever? Burn it? What do you do with it? And the sales from those NFTs go right back into the strategy, right? So it's a way to pick up the floor. It's fun, and give back to holders, but also those sales create more divots.
Mm-hmm.
So the Divot strategy is creating more divots for the holders and for the strategy.
You mentioned Simple Farmer. I think the last time he was on the show, I used the example of hypers on Hyperliquid, and they do token buybacks. They buy back the hype token with the revenue. Very successful perp decks and generate a lot of revenue. And I'm assuming it still holds true today with 4.6% listed. But we did the math, and the amount, if they just took one day out of the month, and instead of buying hype token, bought hyper floor, there would be no floor. It basically, like, one day of revenue would buy every single NFT listed on the market. This was back when we did the math. Then could have changed now, but
necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, and God bless TokenWorks and every other scheme. And when I say scheme, I mean the British sense, not like the James Bond villain sense. But every scheme that innovators, founders have had to come up with to try to monetize because nobody will pay royalties anymore. Right. There have been so many, and some of them are really great. But when push comes to shove, just use the Divot. Give people back money. Let people go Divot shopping for the collections that are enabling the Divot, and just get royalties back. Right. And the thing is that Ernest and I, we've created this new infrastructure, not just because we're evil geniuses, which we are, but also because we truly, principally believe in royalties from a principled point of view.
Same.
We believe.
You had mentioned
royalties for years.
Cap, you had mentioned the top collections in the last 7 days that on royalties, and I pulled up a little script that I borrowed and rewrote. And Pudgy Penguins has missed out on $62,000 in royalties in the last 7 days.
Jeez, in a week.
Little Pudgies has missed out on 22,000. Milady's 18. Moonbirds $8,000. Azuki's $8,000. Doodles $7,000. Bored Ape Yacht Club $7,000. At a 1% royalty, they would have had $7,000.
It's wild.
So there you go.
It really is wild. I mean, Divot, very cool concept. I love it. You talk about utility. And I was saying earlier before you guys jumped on, if you caught it, it's like, why should I hold this asset beyond the art, beyond this is a cool collectible? What other reason to hold other than speculate? All number might go up and access and all that stuff's important, but a legal way to share in that royalty stream is a major deal. And you were talking earlier about the marketplaces and Magic Eden deciding to go optional and blur farming. I think a lot of people will attribute blur farming and the incentivized bidding is what led to ultimately the decline in NFT floor prices. While I don't dispute that, I think maybe as big, if not a bigger of an impact in terms of the state of NFTs today wasn't just incentivized bidding and the blur farming season, but that's what led to, quite frankly, not the elimination, but the significant reduction in royalties. And I believe that's at the crux of why a lot of these NFT PFP collections have went away from alignment with their community and stopped providing utility because they, in their mind, even if they have other revenue streams, I think previously they're like, oh, we're generating X amount in royalties, we can reinvest that into the ecosystem. And then once those royalties went away, instead of looking for a solution like this, they just said, hey, it's easier for us we're just not going to offer any utility. We're just going to be an art collection. And again, to each their own, but I think it's such a big deal on many levels. I agree with you from a principled standpoint. One of the first things that got me so excited about NFTs was creator royalties, was secondary royalties, whether you're talking to bootstrapping a startup business or just an artist who's putting some of their art on chain and be able to win as they grow in their career down the road. That was a big deal for me.
I remember, Cap, being in a space with Beeple, back in, I think it was 21 on, it wasn't a space. It was a clubhouse room or whatever we called it. And he had sold an early image just before his big, $69 million everyday sale. He had sold one image for 60,000. I think it might have been like 66,000 or something. And then he had a 10% royalty, and the buyer turned around and sold it for $6 million. And trustlessly, automatically, right into his wallet, he got $600,000. And he was just talking about how the promise of royalties was really working out. His holder got like $5.4 million, and quite a big I don't want to call it arbitrage. It's my DGen brain, but quite a big profit. And the artist got paid, right? And now we say, oh well, people, he's made $100 million in sales. He hadn't at that point. That was a life-changing big deal. But we also know, founders who struggle every day, who grind, who never left, but they can't monetize. I know founders from pretty well-known collections that they had a pump, and they made $1 million in trading volume, and they got like maybe 1% of the royalties because somebody actually paid them, and they said, yeah, I mean, we're happy. That's great for the people that sold, but we're not able to do anything for our community because of it. Yep. So the divot comes from, I want to make money on things that you and all the listeners, how many dead things do you have in your wallet, right?
Thousands.
Like, thousands. What if all those dead things, even when there was like a little bit of life, were paying you, and they were like, hey, yeah, listen, we didn't work out how you wanted, but we're still paying you a little bit. And how many of those dead things might revive a little bit because there's new interest in them because they aren't getting monetized. So, that's the divot side of it. And we wanted collections to get royalties back, but then we also wanted everyone to eat. We wanted the holders to also get monetized. And so now when you're paying a royalty, you are paying, yes, the founders or the owners if they've sold, but you're also paying the community. You're also paying yourself potentially, right? And it's a perpetual awesome machine is what it is.
Am I right in thinking did divot come first and then so it's like great idea, like how do we bring our community along, and then there's not a lot of royalties to share with our community base if everyone's going to go to these marketplaces and not pay royalties. So had a solution, and instead of pivoting out of it, it's like, how can we make this better? And Unvault, I really think, is, again, if we have people asking about other collections right now, and if for instance, Diego, longtime friend of the show here asked, like, if you can check on your script there, how's Plano's looking the last week? I'm not sure if it includes Solana-based collections or not, but
it doesn't. It's just EVMs.
I guess
my Plano's looking great, very handsome.
the ability to not just share with your holders and communities, and to your point, some collections may choose to do that, some may not, but having the option to do so, having the option to generate this revenue stream. Look at, again, I don't think it's a coincidence that you look at the top performing collections this year, and it's those that are earning royalties, those that have royalty protected contracts. Quirkies is one that they did it the hard way, pre-Unvault, and again, it's ran up to a 0.9 floor price. I think part of it's not just is that bringing in extra revenue and royalties for the collection and the team. It's also, I believe, royalties mitigate against farmers. It mitigates against short-term flippers. And that's the only pushback I've heard from teams. I'm not going to name names, but one of the larger projects, it was on one of these charts we talked about a little bit ago. They've pushed back. They said, well, we're fine with no royalties because we want the volume of flippers. And what does that do? Like, maybe if you're brand new and you need to capture attention, you need to see a bunch of volume. But again, look at all the current ones that, like, from normies to Del Mundos and all these ones they all have protected royalties. It's not helping. It's not preventing them from catching attention. And it's mitigating farmers that are just going to come in, buy, and then dump into bids. It hurts momentum. It hurts the community. So I think there's even some beyond just bringing in that added revenue for the team and potentially leveraging dividends, sharing that with the holders, but also you talk about alignment, and I need to think of a better way to land the plane here, but it is really truly aligned with the holder base, because the team is like, hey, we're not looking to attract those that are just purely out to have a short-term flip. They want to buy this asset, have no interest in the brand, no interest in what you're building. They're just looking to sell it at a higher price, or not even worse is they're just looking to farm some points and dump it into bids. Like, that's just.
We want those degens as well. We welcome the bots. We welcome the traders, because it creates volume, which creates royalties. Now you can say, well, maybe they'll go to collections that don't have a royalty on it. But when every collection starts to have a royalty, except for a few outliers, there's not going to be anywhere for them to go. So what are they going to do? They'll still make money. And also think about it like this. Like, if you're somebody that goes, I don't want to pay royalties. I don't want to pay royalties. You have to tend to your garden. Okay. You can only go to your garden and pull up things without replanting things enough times, and then your garden dies, right? You give back 1 or 2 or 3% to the collection. They're able to pay staff. They're able to do events. They're able to give back to the community. They're able to do many, many things. And then people want to buy. And then you can go back and you can sell again. And yes, you'll make 2% less or whatever it is, but you can keep going back. And maybe you find that your plants have grown. They're bigger. They're more robust, right? And so royalties feed everyone, including your degen future self. If you want to keep going back to the garden, you have to replant. And that's what royalties are.
And that's also where Unvault comes in. I mean, we've talked about the divot, and divot being the thing we invented before we invented Unvault. But Unvault allows NFT projects to enable their holders to move from one chain to the next. And so that's cool. But it also allows them to enable their holders to move to a royalty enforced contract, not a 721C, let's say. And so by having that ability and then incentivizing that activity with the divot, that's where you really cross the T's and dot the I's.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Wait, Ernest, I'm sorry. I have to, I hate to do this. We do this all the time on our Tuesday and Thursday show. Is it okay if I talk about the Tuesday and Thursday show, Cap?
Go for it. Yeah. If you got a link and you want to pin it up top, by all means.
I can't even do that because my phone is in the other room because I can't turn the volume off when I'm on stage.
Before Ernest popped on pre-show, and that was true story. I used to do that all the time. Instead of I'd plug it into headphones, I'd take the phone, I'd throw it in the other room, throw it in a closet somewhere, and And yeah, the future trick though, just get you some of these. We call them Steves, the Apple wired headphones. Plug them into the phone, turn all the way down, and that can work as well. But yeah, anyways, go ahead. Plug your Tuesday.
So, now, oh right. Well, listen. Oh yeah, our show Tuesday and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Sorry, 2 p.m. for your audience. 2 p.m. On the Unvault X profile. We talk about not just Unvault and Divot, but the space in general. NFTs, what's going on. Everybody's welcome to come up and ask us questions, grill us, even disagree with us. That's okay. We love that. But Ernest, I have to correct a little bit because you're saying move from chain to chain.
I say move because that's how people understand it.
That's how people understand it.
I understand it. It's a vault and unvault system.
I know you understand it. You're the co-inventor of it. But to tell people, we're not actually migrating your NFTs from chain to chain. Although we do offer a very easy, like click a button and migrate your collection from a non-royalty enforced contract to a royalty enforced contract. And don't even get me started about that. But what we are doing is vaulting, locking up an NFT on, let's say, ETH mainnet, okay, and then unvaulting. And by the way, this is when I say we, the holder can choose to do this, can choose not to do it. If a collection decides to unvault with us and sign up with us, you don't have to unvault if you don't want to. I don't know why you wouldn't, but you don't have to. So you have an NFT on ETH mainnet, right? You say, but I want to access liquidity, either for sales or whatever, or some kind of utility somewhere else. Let's say other side on Ape Chain, or something's going on in Solana, or maybe even one of the chains is offering you some kind of perk. Hey, if you go to Solana, you bring your NFTs to Solana for a month, we'll give you 1 Sol. Or hey, if you bring your your NFTs to Ape Chain for a month, we'll give you a whole bunch of Ape, or we'll give you some other kind of thing. I don't know. So you lock it up in the vault. It's escrow. The only entity that can take it out is you, assuming you still own the NFT, right? Unvault can't touch it. The collection can't touch it. Only you. But now you can unvault what we call an echo on another blockchain of the same exact token ID, metadata, image, utility, and everything. You can do it. It's another instance of your NFT. We are starting with, yes, Solana will be included. We are starting with Ape Chain, ETH mainnet, Abstract, Base, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, and Solana. And we threw Solana in there because we want people to know it's not just EVMs. Now, this is our minimal viable product, or MVP, right? We will be moving to other chains. We will be moving to whatever your favorite chain is. We will get there. And it's not going to be like we're going to announce Tezos and 5 years later still not show up. It's going to be we will announce, and within a matter of weeks, it will be up. And so what does that do for you? You can move your NFT. Well, I get it, Ernest. You can have your NFTs appear on all those chains. And there's no dilution because only one of the instances could be active at any given time. Okay.
And just to confirm, if I decide I want to go back, I can unvault it back on, if it's a ETH NFT, back on mainnet ETH and still have my original asset, right?
Yes. The only caveat to that is if a royalty, if it's 0721 or a non-royalty enforced contract collection says we want to migrate to a new collection, new contract with royalty enforcement, they do have the option of locking the originals up and not giving access to them. Now, obviously, they're going to tell everybody they're doing that. We'll have a big warning thing, when you do it. But that's the only. And now, by the way, that's reversible too. We're not burning your originals, right? We're not sending them to the bad wallet, right? The collection can say, you know what? The space has changed, and it is now normal that all of the marketplaces are enforcing royalties. You can have your originals back if you want.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's a really big deal, at least for me personally. For some, they may not care. For some of these, like, again, the objection, why wouldn't you move to royalty protected contracts? I'm like, well, provenance matters. I've shared on here, like, of the thousands of NFTs I have, there's one that I really care about provenance. It's my PFP. It's only because I minted it. It's part of my personal journey. And I like the fact that it's never been sold. It's never been moved. There's others that have moved to new contracts. As far as I know, most, if not all of them, it's when they do that, the original's burnt. And that's just, there's never any going back. Now, you can ask, why would I ever go back? I don't know. I just, if you're telling me I've got to burn it to get on the new contract, to get this new access utility, there's, an emotional decision I need to make. Call me if you want, I don't care. But if you're telling me I can move, I can get access and get the utility, the perks. And if I ever still want to really desire to get my OG NFT back that I minted and it has that provenance, I still can. Oh, the decision made. Like it's okay. It's no brainer then. Like, why wouldn't I? I think that's a big differentiator from all the any other attempts I've seen at royalty protected contracts or migrating to. And I'm not taking a shot at Quirkies or Chimpers or any of the others that have done this recently. I think it's great that they made the move. They're ahead of the space, but just having that ability, that knowing my original asset's not going forever, it's just vaulted until I decide to get it back. That's a big deal.
Well, listen, I'll say this to Chimpers and Quirkies, and we love those guys, by the way. Depending on what they did with the originals, if they come to Unvault, they can still offer the originals back. Ernest is like, we're going to talk to our dev about that.
I'm trying to figure that one out, but we'll figure it out.
I'm fairly certain they can. Now, talking about provenance, by the way. So one of the very cool things about Unvault, which by the way is the Unvault platform where you can switch from chain to chain. It's also the Divot platform where you can see your divots and see all the history of that, whether you're the collection or whether you're the collector. We have a provenance tool, which, again, patent pending, first of its kind. The provenance goes by token ID, not by just the NFT. So right now, you can track the provenance of your ETH mainnet NFT. Sure, of course you can, right? But what happens when you unvault it? What happens when you lock it up and then you take it out on Solana or ApeChain or wherever? You're going to be able to track the provenance of that token ID from chain to chain. You're going to see every piece of movement, every activity that's happened on that blockchain for that token ID. And then you'll see when it switches. And it'll just be one history. So the provenance, basically what we're doing is we're making the collection as opposed to being tied to a specific contract or a blockchain. Your collection is everywhere. Your personal NFT is everywhere, and you can still track the provenance of it. You're not losing it. In fact, you're enhancing it. So, we're OGs. Like, we care about that kind of stuff. Provenance, royalties, even letting people not do this, right? You don't have to. Like Bulls on the Block, for instance, we are tracking royalties, which, we're currently not on a royalty enforced contract. We will be once Unvault launches. We're tracking royalties since July. And once Divot launches, coming very soon, Unvault launches, those who have held and not listed will get a Divot, except they have to unvault to a royalty enforced contract. And so once they do that, they can share in it. It helps us reward holders that are not just loyal, but active. How many, what's the point of rewarding all holders when some of them might, God bless their memory, literally be dead, right? Or even worse, they've left the space, right? And they're not coming back. Why should they get a piece of the Divot, as opposed to like the OG Bull on the Block holders that have been here since the beginning, or here in the last year, or even pick it up now? They're active. They're taking action. As a collection owner, you can incentivize those who help your collection and those who are loyal.
I love it. Do you mind if we get a question? Ben Glorious has been super patient. Hands probably getting tired by now. Do you mind if we let him get in here with a quick question?
Questions.
Ben Glorious, GM, if you're still there, appreciate your patience. Question for Ernest and Aaron. Might have lost him.
Nuts.
We'll check back
Hey,
in.
real quick, can I just say below board, just to trigger Aaron, below board?
Trigger me in a joyous way. Below board
Just
is
can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, we got you back. Let Aaron 10 seconds here, finish his below board triggering thought, and then we'll get you back in here. Appreciate your patience.
Below board is the name of the Metaverse Comedy Club that exists below the Board Ape Yacht Club. It's a collection I launched in 22. I think it was 22, and that's where we did our comedy shows from. Not just this beautiful Metaverse Club, but also in person around the world at different events, including Ape Fest and Portugal and Vegas and all over the place. And you better believe that on below board is going to be unvaulted and have the divvy. The problem is that there are basically none for sale. So good luck picking them up, but God bless you for being an OG below board holder. I love you, and we'll make sure you're taken care of.
I was just gonna say,
oh yes, sir. OG mentor the legendary. Pleasure to meet you in Vegas. Sorry, Cap.
It's great to hang out with you, man.
Appreciate you jumping in there. And yeah, I am. I would be disappointed if we don't have at least a below board experience at the clubhouse when that thing opens in Miami. I'm hoping they build a basement just for below board personally, but
I mean, I've definitely mentioned that on Board Ape Yacht Club. Remember the Discord chats? One of the first chats said, "Is it true that Board Ape Yacht Club is opening up a comedy club in the basement called Below Board that I'm booking?"
Amazing.
Yeah,
I will say basements in Miami is, it might quite literally be a swamp. It might be a little musty and smelly, but maybe like first floor, one of those like faux basements where it's not actually below ground, but I digress.
It would be like every comedy club I've ever performed at. Yeah, go ahead.
Real ape shit.
Can you guys hear me there?
We got you.
Wow.
Appreciate your patience.
Question. Guys, wow. Great work. First time I'm hearing about this, but I love what you guys are doing. That makes perfect sense to me on bringing back royalties. So I'm a dev guy, so I'm just trying to think this out. My question is, I guess I have two. One, can't you wrap the vault wrapper so you can avoid royalties? That was always a problem in the past. And then secondly, isn't this all contingent on like marketplaces and like the collections kind of like getting to critical mass of sales occurring of vault assets over assets that are not vaulted? Did I understand that correctly?
Well, let's start with your second question. Ernest, you sound like you.
Yeah, it is dependent on marketplaces, and so Unvault is a marketplace, and so we will show the other marketplaces what they can do. We have patent pending technology that we're using on the marketplace, but we're certainly willing to license that, no charge to the other marketplaces. But they'll be able to show exactly what we show on the Unvault marketplace, and we think that's important to show them what it can be.
Yeah, and so to further what Ernest is saying, one of our patent submissions right now is the actual marketplace to show a collection across all chains at the same time. Because one of the questions we keep getting is, well, when I go to OpenSea, how in the hell am I going to search for, because it is 7 different contracts with only one NFT, one chain active at any given time. How in the hell am I going to search on OpenSea? My answer used to be, I don't give an F. Because I'm a little bit more competitive maybe than Ernest. And Ernest is like, no, we should license them. No, I don't want. But Ernest has convinced me. Yes, we are happy to license this to OpenSea, to Magic Eden, and we're happy to license it for free for the good of the community. Listen, we also have a protocol fee in there, so it's not like we're saints. We'll get paid too. But we think it's important for the other marketplaces to get on board. And be able to show a collection across all chains at the same time without making users look all over the place. Now, to the heart of your question, well, what if people just skirt royalties? Yeah, sure. But that was the case back in 2021 too. There were always people that skirted royalties. We think that the incentive structure for Unvault and Divot is enough to lure the smart degens and their bots over to the Unvault way of thinking. They will pay a small royalty, so maybe there'll be some who are just principled in that, no, code is law, we won't pay it. But you'll start to see that many of the big collections are on royalty enforced contracts again. And could they spin up their own collection and trade amongst themselves and pay themselves back and forth? I guess so. But why not get into that divot pool? Hold some and get paid all the time. And then when you do sell, sure, you're giving up a percentage or two, but you're doing it for floors that are higher, for money that's higher. And not just that, but we also have amazing arbitrage opportunities. So if you're a real seller, you will take a look and you'll see that those who are in the know, everybody in Cap's audience right now, you know that these collections exist across 7 chains and then 10 and then 15, whatever it is. I can talk about the tool now, right, Ernest?
Yeah, go ahead.
We also have a patent pending arbitrage tool, which is not in our MVP, but it will be out, where click of a button, you will be able to see the arbitrage opportunities across all chains and say, I want to buy here. I want to vault it. I want to unvault it onto a chain that has a 30% arbitrage, and I want to accept the collection bid, offer, or even list it to sell right now. And within the course of one wallet interaction, I mean, of course, it'll be like, a couple of different wallets and approvals, et cetera, all in the same flow. You've just made a 30% arbitrage. And so we're not thinking about degens. So I would say the degens that are in the know and know about the arbitrage and know about the higher floor prices, they'll come over. And I guess there'll be, some degen hermits, yelling at the sky over by themselves, not doing it, but losing out on tremendous arbitrage opportunities. That's the answer to your second question.
Vainglorious, go ahead. Response or follow-up question?
Honestly, that was great. I get it. I like what you're thinking, and it just needs collections to push it in their communities, and I think it can work. I was part of a bunch of collections that I helped with the smart contract with, like 50 of them, and I would recommend to some of them for sure. I can see this being wide.
And we can announce now, by the way, before we get to your other question, here's one of the collections that are pushing it to their holders: heavy metal. Gabe and Adam signed up officially. They're one of the first collections to announce publicly. We have others that are in the wings, waiting to announce. Adam Weitzman and Gabe are no joke. That's a major player in the space. Great guy, both of them. And we're proud of the fact.
Adam has one of my motorcycles too. Full disclosure. I didn't know that, but I when I met him in Vegas last year, we were in an elevator and we were talking through all the different businesses and things we do and everything. And I said, yeah, and I own a motorcycle company. He goes, which one? I said, Combat Motors. He goes, really? He goes, show me his phone. He's like,
that's awesome.
I have one. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That is very cool. So we think that if Unvault is good enough for Adam and Gabe and heavy metal, it might be good enough for your collection. We also love that Rida has G's coming aboard as well. I mean, of course, our collection, Bulls on the Block, our partner collection with Simple Farmer, Clutch Puppies, of course, and then the OG for Divot, STK and Dolls, who we love John Winchell and John Dark and their art. They took a chance on us, and we love those guys. We not financial advice, but they're going to be one of the first collections unvaulted, and we listen. This is not just like a 2-week meta kind of thing. This is the new infrastructure, because right now, if you are a collection on any chain, you are missing out on probably 75%, 90% of the liquidity and the trading on all the other chains. When you unvault, you're missing out on nothing. Okay, an 8-chain project can start to show up in the top 10 of Solana. a Solana project can show up on the top 10 of ApeChain. You will get eyes from all the collectors, all the degens across every chain. If you were looking to sell, right, you will get the liquidity available on every chain. You don't just have to say, who's going to buy this on base? You can say, who's going to buy this that likes NFTs across all chains? So, listen, if you're a small collection, a medium-sized collection that's been grinding, we want to talk to you because we've been there and we love grinders and we want to help you grow by getting the liquidity of every chain and more unique wallet holders and more community and more active members. Your Discord or your live events, whatever it is, it won't just be, oh, here's a bunch of guys from base. It'll be like, here are the Solana bros and gals. Here are the Ape Chain on toppers. Here are the ETH maxis. You're not even going to know what chain people love, but you're giving people the opportunity to buy your collection and hold your collection on the chain that they're comfortable with, in the crypto that they're comfortable with. I mean, we've gotten a lot of messages, Cap, that people have said several times. Like Ernest and I bought Claynosaurs. We love Claynosaurs. And we've heard people say to us that knew about Unvault, oh, there's another person that they said they'd buy Claynosaurs, but they never touched Solana, right? Well, we'd love Claynosaurs to come aboard, and everybody could buy a Claynosaur no matter where they are, right?
Yeah.
So we're expanding to let everybody in. And so yeah, we're happy about the heavy metal partnership and Clutch
Awesome.
Puppies.
Yeah,
And also the marketplace itself will accept cross-chain payments for NFTs, and it'll deliver cross-chain. So you can select which chain you want your NFT delivered on when you buy it on the Unvault marketplace.
That's cool. So I could buy Claynos on in this scenario, in this hypothetical example, I could buy a Clayno with Ape and have it delivered on ETH mainnet if I wanted.
That's right.
Yes.
Assuming Claynos came on. Yeah.
Right.
And Cap, not just that, and we won't get too much into this today, but we are also the first true cross-chain minting platform.
That was the next question. Hit the ask in chat. Will we have a launch pad, the ability to mint from Unvault, or is it just for everything already on chain or minted elsewhere? So
We've built it. Quid is auditing it. We're finishing up the front end touches. But just to explain, this is not like when people say, "Oh, we're a multi-chain mint," and they put 500 on Solana and they put 500 on Ape Chain, and you can buy both. And oh, isn't this interesting? And again, God bless the innovators. What we have built, patent pending, is a technology where every chain that we support will have the mint. So we're going to mint Blowies, which the name won't be Blowies, but it's a collection that we have of dolphins. That's why they're called Blowies, of course, right? And I can't wait to launch this collection. The collection is all about just like hanging out with dolphins and being goofy. The dolphins are trying to sneak into Bored Ape Yacht Club because the apes won't let them in. And so they dress up like Bored Apes, but they're horrible at disguises. But the art is fantastic. Anyway, so Blowies, for instance, we say, okay, we're going to launch, I don't know, 6969, just randomly, Blowies. But we're going to launch it on Base, Abstract, ETH mainnet, Ape Chain, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, and Solana. And we're also looking at Robinhood, although that's in testnet right now, right?
And BTC Ordinals.
Yeah, BTC Ordinals, Cardano, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones that we're launching with first, right?
Gotcha.
So everybody from those chains can mint on the chain that they want to and whatever currency they want to and have it delivered to whatever chain they want to, okay, at the same time. So the technology does not allow duplicates. So whoever gets a transaction through first will get the mint, just like it is on one chain, except that this is on all chains at the same time. So what does that do? That lets people from every chain mint on their chain that they're comfortable on, right? I'll never buy anything on ETH. Fine, buy it on Sol. I'll never buy anything besides Ape Chain. Great, buy it on Ape Chain. It lets them buy it in any currency that they want to, that we support from all the different chains. But what does it do for the collectors or the collections? It has everybody on all those chains able to mint at the same time, fighting each other for the mint. Forget about the secondary trading afterwards. Okay, you put a 10,000 piece collection on right now somewhere, and yes, congratulations to all the free mints that have minted out. That's wonderful, right? That's great. But wouldn't it be nice to also be able to charge something to, I don't know, get some liquidity in your collection so you can do something, establish a company, whatever you want to do. Well, we get you the liquidity of every trader. I was going to say every fucking trader, but I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to be professional for Unvault. But you get the liquidity of every fucking trader on every fucking chain at the same time.
I know we're fixing royalties first, then we're going to fix DAOs. After that, I think let's bring back gas wars. That would be my request. Multi-chain gas.
It's going to be speed wars. It's going to be speed wars because the gas is listen, the three of us here have the scars of the gas wars. Okay. But it's going to be what chain is the fastest? What chain can I get my block through first? And I don't know, maybe you'll have to tip a miner a quarter USDC or something, I guess, but it's going to be, maybe somebody will mint on ETH mainnet, but it's going to be which is the fastest chain to mint on.
Regarding whether minting or someone's going multi-chain with Unvault, is it, Hans W asks in the chat, does Unvault support engraving the art on chain in any way? And if so, what chain? Whether it's like ordinals or putting the art on ETH mainnet, not just pointing to IPFS, but is that in the cards either at launch or a future stage?
Oh yeah. We'll have to see if this is MVP on the dashboard or not. But we've been talking to the good folks at Arweave.
Okay.
Right, Arweave, right? We haven't talked about them for a while.
Yep.
We think that every NFT collection at this point should have their art on chain. Arweave makes that incredibly easy. We've now done it for Bulls on the Block. I believe we've done it for STK. There's no reason. Now, I think the only reason why people aren't doing this is because they don't really know about it yet. But you can't now for us too, because one of the first problems was, well, where are we going to put the metadata for every one of these collections? And you can put it on chain. So I mean, Bitcoin ordinals and inscriptions are a different thing, right? Mm-hmm. But everything else, you just mint to Arweave. It's very simple. It's pretty damn cost effective. I mean, if you're doing something crazy, I guess, but it's pretty cost effective, and it's a one-time cost. We mentioned below board before. I've been paying first $100, now $20 a month, because I still haven't gotten around to doing the thing that I know how to do for my Pinata. Every month, $20, because I'm too busy working on Unvault to actually do my own thing. But you switch it over to Arweave, and you just point your contract to it. And for Unvault, you'd point every contract to the same Arweave link. That's it. You're done, and the art will not go away as long as Arweave is a chain and it's a blockchain. It will be there, and you can stop paying for it. So the answer is yes. Not only is it possible, but we recommend it. And I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can tell me what the downside of doing that is, but that's all upside as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. Diablito is going to have to mint the Unvaults on Mega ETH. Yeah, I'm a Mega ETH fan as well. Sure. So I'd throw that in as a wish list request for a future partner chain.
But EVMs are so easy because, for Ethereum virtual machines, right? For people that don't know, EVM is a big system. You can have, multiple layer 2s, layer 3s, layer 6s, whatever, but they all basically have the same base of a contract. And so you build for one. There may be little quirks or something, on the different blockchains, but generally you're like 99% done. So we keep surprising our dev by saying, oh, by the way, we're adding Polygon. Oh, by the way, we're adding Binance Smart Chain. Oh, by the way, we're adding what's the latest one we added? I can't remember, but the EVMs are super simple. So Mega ETH and Robinhood and whatever. I mean, those. I mean, Ernest, we have to make sure that we do like a big countdown and like, oh, this is such a big deal. But honestly, I'm gonna take it as a secret. It's not that big of a deal to add those things.
Well, I agree. Liquidity is a big deal. You like, I hadn't even thought about things like Robinhood and these other maybe specific use case chains that I don't think, like when I don't think Robinhood's going to be a big NFT chain. But something like this, again, you're tapping into a whole different new pool of liquidity, and that doesn't happen without this Unvault solution and this multi-chain arbitrage. I know we've kept you guys longer than initially anticipated. I appreciate all your time today. I appreciate all the questions, comments. Vanglorious, thanks for jumping up. Proof Alpha Degen, all the questions in the chat. If anyone does have any additional questions for the guys, we'll do our best to get them all answered. Just drop those in the chat, or if you want to throw in a request to join us here, we can probably keep them for a few more minutes. I'm just going to show it again. This is actually, I just saw a post from Carl, who's looking at this is just like a 30-day snapshot of 30-day chart for NFTs. And, he has shared some thoughts. Del Mundo's brought back new min hype with some great unique art and vibes. Deadfellas just released a new game. God Hates NFTs, strong community around their founder. The Plague, Oni Force, and Quirkies, very strong IPs. Teams building stronger than ever. I'm not sure if Oni One Force is on a royalty protected contract or not, but I know the Plague and Quirkies have both migrated.
Oni Force, first of all, Oni One. Come on, man. It's not Star Wars. It's not, it's Oni. You know that, Cap.
Fair.
And they are not on a royalty protected contract, and we know that they have lost somewhere around $6.7 million in royalties over the past few years. And I'm an original Oni. Even met with them before they launched. Love those guys. Love Star-Lordy. We are talking. Sorry to interrupt, but we're talking with a lot. Well, I can't say this. Let me just say that we're talking with your favorite founders, and we love a lot of the collections that you just mentioned for many, many different reasons.
Well, I hope more are having this conversation. I hope more listen. If you're on a team, certainly reach out to Aaron or Ernest. If you're part of a community that you're passionate about, like, shout out to Deadfellas and Sean in the show often. Or I'm sorry, wrong. Betty and team over there. Like a lot of these teams that are like you're not the apes, not the pudgies, not the moonbirds, but ones that have hung around. They continue to build. I can't imagine what more they'd be able to do if they had these 6-7 figures and extra royalties that they've missed out on over the last few years. But this chart is just, I don't know how someone could, as a team, hear this conversation, hear what you're building, look at the charts over the last, again, this is just the last week in NFTs. Normies, Del Mundos, Mr. Sheeb, Quirky's Original, Good Vibes Club. Good Vibes Club minted not even a year ago. They're going to hit $2 million in royalties in their first year. When so many others would tell you, oh, NFTs are dead. I'm sorry, royalties are dead. They're not coming back. Well, they are back. They're back from existing teams that have, like Quirkies, that have migrated. They're back for all these new collections. They're having tremendous success. They all have royalties baked into them, and there's so much additional opportunity here. Not that they should rely on royalties by themselves, but if they're still building, if they're still here, no one yet has been able to give a good reason why not move to, other than, oh, it's time, it's hard, we got to go hire a dev with. Not anymore. They're simplifying. You've simplified it. You've made it easy, and still giving that flexibility and the ability to customize and do things how they choose to do so. I guess that would be my last question for you. If someone's listening in, whether they're part of the community and they want the team to reach out to you guys, whether it's a founder or a team member, is it, I mean, go, the Unvault account is on stage. It's just at Unvault, UNVAULT, or you go to unvault.com. Aaron and Ernest, I'm sure you can reach out to them directly. But is that it? Like, next steps, if someone wants to get more information, just reach out, DM, go to the site and apply for early access. And then I guess the follow-up question is like, what I know you said quits auditing the contract. Are we talking days, weeks, months? When do you expect, or best case scenario, likely scenario as far as the marketplace going live? And
best case scenario is that we launched 2 months ago, but we want to do things the correct way, and so that's why we hired Quit and the best dev team. So Quit's in the middle of audits. He's auditing Unvault and Divot, and also our DAMS, digital asset management system. And usually in an audit, for people that don't know, they look it over, make sure there are no security flaws, make sure it's doing everything it's supposed to be done. They give notes back. Your dev then makes corrections, additions, etc. Our dev is amazing, works fast. Quit is amazing, works fast. I don't know, 30 days, 60 days, everything, once everything is audited and we feel safe, and comfortable, then it's time to go. And I'll say that I understand why older communities, older teams, etc., are they want to move slowly. I get it, because it's forget about the psychological warfare that we've all been through. You want to make sure your community is going to be into it. You're going to make sure it's going to be healthy for the collection and the company. And so talk with us. Let us explain to you why it is. But we were talking about this in our space on Thursday. A lot of collections are trying to appease the wrong audience. And that is the audience of the floor price and the volume, where you look at even the highest traded collections, 95+% are not listed. And you have all the rest of us going, but we've been holding since mint and we love you guys. It is okay to make money. It is okay for the collections to collect royalties and make money. It is okay for the holders to hold, get a divot, and make money. It is okay for you to sell anytime you want to and make money, and also give back to the community, so that if you have more assets, you can hold them and collect the divvy. Or when you come back into the collection, maybe it's a higher floor price, but you're happy about that. It's okay for everyone to make money. Like, it's all right for the collections to say, we want royalties. And so for all the collections that are not on royalty enforced contracts, it's time to come back to not just making money, but also that principled stance of creators, artists should be paid for their work and effort. And that's okay. We're not just talking to collections, by the way. We're talking to individual artists as well. So yes, talk to us, DM us on Unvault. I mean, if you really want to, you can DM us personally as well. That's okay. And let's get you onboarded.
I love it. Otis says a running tally of uncollected royalties of major collections on the site would drive home the value of unvaulting. Not my place to share yet, but I will share one that I got a glimpse of, because I just mentioned Deadfellas and I wondered what they can, I guess, 6 figures. And looks like per the contract data, they've missed out on 144,000 in some change in royalties. I mean, just major.
Betty is a champion of the space. Psych is an amazing artist. They're both champions of the space. Betty especially, has been very vocal about royalties in the past. Like, we want them to win. I love Betty and Psych.
And I was looking at the wrong line. It's actually 321,000. 321,000 they've missed out on in royalties, on unpaid royalties on those transactions. And for a small team, I don't think they've raised funding. If so, I apologize. If so, I don't think it was a major round, but 321 grand is not nothing. And you're building a game, you're doing stuff. Like, they continue to, they launched another collection on Ape Chain. I know they probably generated a little bit there as well, but I'm guessing it pales in comparison what that 321,000 they could have generated just by not doing anything extra, other than, had they had a solution like Unvault in place.
Other than being great creators. Last thing for me, probably not, but last thing for me is, there is a reason to onboard now and not wait. I really believe that eventually this is just the infrastructure of NFTs, and everyone will come aboard. The reasons to come on board now: one, we are booking these segments with you, Cap, and we want to highlight communities in front of Coffee with Captain. So if you want your collection to have one of these segments, that's one big reason to do it. Also, we do have a setup fee of 1,000 USDC. That is for before we launch. After we launch, it's going to be a bunch more than that. So we also have a $500 option as well. So that's a reason to save a boatload of money on the setup fee. And our friend Rida, we are going back and forth about the animations that we're going to be launching. And we want to include the PFP characters from the collections that onboard up front. And so if you want Rida to include you in the your collection in these Unvault videos, time is running out.
Awesome. I love it. Well, We'll go to Ernest for any closing thoughts here in a second as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. Yes, this is a sponsored interview. This is a partnership, but we do, and we occasionally will do one-off sponsored interviews. That's the thing. If you're an Unvault partner, no, you can't do this forever, but for at least the next few weeks, months, there's an opportunity to get on here. They're basically subsidizing that for you. But more so, this is something I'm genuinely excited about. I'm very passionate about royalties and what they can do for the NFT space at large. We need leaders. We need founders like yourselves that are helping push the space forward. This is kind of a weird one because it's like taking us back to our roots to push us forward. And I still don't understand why royalties for some teams, like they view them as a negative or negative connotation. They were here from the launch, like during the mania, during the boom of NFTs. Royalties were very much a thing.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it's like paying royalties was like almost like you said. It wasn't just on chain as how like marketplaces work, but it was like the social contract. Like people almost felt there's people I know that did OTC deals and then still sent royalty, the equivalent of what the royalty would have been back to the team because they felt it's how the space worked. And
I've done that.
I'm very much so pro royalties. I think it's good for space. I think it's good for the teams. I think it's good for the collectors. Yeah, you're going to give up a little bit of margin if you trade on, but if the team is there and you're really supportive of the brand, even if you're exiting, like I mentioned Good Vibes Club. I don't hold any of the actual collection other than my honorary yet. Still rooting for the team. I still want to see them win, and was glad to pay royalties when I had those transactions. It was the only time I hear, oh, well, what if I'm down bad? And well, that's nothing is perfect, but I think that this is really close to a win-win-win that we've seen in a while. And beyond the partnership, beyond the sponsorship, I truly thank you on behalf of myself, all our listeners, the space at large, for not just experimenting on chain, but really doing something for the greater good. That I think I agree with you. I think we get to a point at some point in the future where this is just how NFTs work. Part of whether you want to call them NFTs or digital art or digital assets, like this, like protected royalties, I think can have a very much so a positive impact on the space. And I do hope it becomes just the norm. And just like it once was, I hope once again it becomes the norm. And the one thing we really haven't talked about, you mentioned it in passing, but this isn't just like your 10,000 PFP collections. You could argue that it's even more important for the artist who wants to bring their art on chain and is just going to introduce one-of-one pieces, or they're just going to create a digital counterpart to their physical art piece. Like, it's a really big deal for them. It's one of the things that got me excited. This piece over here is my daughter was her first piece she minted on Super Rare. And the idea of her being able to, I'm not going to sell that, but if I were to sell it someday for $10,000, I want her to get her cut, right? And it's just, there's, for so many reasons, I think it's refreshing, and it's one of the first things in a while that I've gotten really excited about the technology to NFTs. Like, pointing back over here again, Steve's book and Steven Scott's book, The Everything Token, it talked about a lot of what the technology could unlock and how it is programmable tech. And I just feel like we kind of hit this lull, and people stopped innovating. They stopped doing new things. Again, I think maybe part of the reason why is royalties went away. And once they're back into the tech, I think more people are going to do more experimenting, do more with the technology, not just have a piece of digital art on chain. Not that anything wrong with that, but
Ernest and I are the Kool-Aid man busting through that wall. Oh yeah. And look, to your point about degens, and royalties. Look, I would rather have 98% of $100,000 than 100% of $1,000, right? You build the market back up, through royalties and through, Unvault and Divot, and all of a sudden the 2% you're giving up might be more than the 100% that you're keeping at the current market.
Yep. Really appreciate your time this morning. Really appreciate all that you're doing. Grateful for the partnership, but just even beyond that, I truly appreciate bringing this back to the space. I think it is really needed. Not everyone agrees with me to this level. Not everyone's as passionate about royalties as I am. Some think I'm crazy, but I really do think that we see more and more of this. Watch what happens to these collections. Watch what happens to the communities. Watch where people migrate to. I mean, you're starting to see it with the the recent NFT sales, the data, like now will some of those teams just take the royalties and go home? Sure. But they were doing that anyways. Like this is, I think that you'll see a lot more good, a lot more reinvestment into the space and a lot of value accrual back to the, whether it's with Divot or them just doing more things for the communities and providing utility and perks. It's a lot easier to justify that, even with other streams of revenue, when they can view it as, oh, this is coming from the trading volume. This is coming from directly from our collectors. Let's give them some or all that back in one form or another. But Ernest, any final thoughts, any closing comments, anything that we didn't ask you today that you're hoping to share?
Sure. One of the other businesses I own is Decrypted Tax and decrypted.tax, and we do taxes for U.S. individuals and businesses with digital asset exposure. And so it's tax season right now. So if you are looking for tax preparer, we are your guy. We use Node 40 on the back end of our website. We can handle more transactions than any of the other trackers out there. CoinTracker, CoinLedger, any of those. Their limits are in the hundreds of thousands, and ours are in the millions we can handle. So get on there, book a call. They're free consultations, 1 hour with either myself or Lincoln Allard, who works with me. And yeah, it's tax season. So let us help you out there. And that's both for NFTs, trading, or staking, or any of that. We can track it on our website.
It's awesome. Very, very complex, and not knocking any of the others, but there's some good software out there. But to have it built from someone who is an accountant like this, that comes from their core business, also has a legal background and is deep in this space, like it's just makes sense. Yeah, I don't know about calculations with Cap. That's pretty heavy on a Monday morning, but we are accepting nominations and suggestions for new segments. That would be we might have to do it like Thursday, Monday morning calculations. That's might be too much math, but in all seriousness,
I've done videos for YouTubers, and they tell me their numbers drop when I'm on talking about tax, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just do like segments that are just talking about tax, so that it can be segmented. But yeah, it happens. It's not that exciting. It just
may
happens.
not be the most exciting content, but it is important, and much better to take some time and be bored over some number talk than not do things correctly and get a nasty gram from the IRS someday. So
yeah, and that's what we provide that is different than the others, is we do full service tax prep. And so either myself or Lincoln review every return that goes out, and we make sure that we're doing planning during the year, tax loss harvesting, tax gain harvesting, which isn't talked about so much, but you have a certain amount of gains you can realize at a 0% rate every year. And if you're not realizing that maximum amount for yourself, then you're missing out.
Complete hard pivot. But before I go back to Aaron for any closing comments or final words, I did have one more question from the chat. Someone was, Von Frunton was maybe, I don't know if he's questioning your belief in NFTs and long-term plans here, but he said to ask you about your tattoos, for those that might not be familiar.
Ask me about my tattoos. Yeah. So I believe in my tattoos. I believe in Bored Ape Yacht Club. I have my ape over here and my M1 mutant over here. I've got a coda on this arm, and I've got a dog on this arm, and I'm in the middle of having my M2 on my back. It's going to go for my entire back piece. So
did you have tattoos before the NFT?
I did not. I did not have a speck of tattoos until December the 6th of 2024.
Amazing. And going all in. They say they're addictive. Once you go one, you're going to go back for the other one. This is proof positive. Love it. Also, cars wrapped. I saw the vehicle at Mike Tyson party in Vegas, and yeah, you're certainly a proponent of NFTs, digital art, Yuga, all things Yuga in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. But certainly, I think the space at large, and we need more people that are not just passionate about collecting and trading, but really helping push the space forward. And grateful to have you. Honored for the partnership, and really looking forward to. And I think the other thing that says a lot about what you're doing is we're talking about campaigns, and one of the things that was most important to them wasn't just highlighting Unvault and Divot and what they're building, but Aaron kept coming back, like, how can we highlight the builders? What can we do for the builders, those that we're working with, in addition to giving them the benefits of Unvault and Divot, wanting to highlight these builders? I think it just says a lot about not just what you're building, but also how you're doing it. And so, yeah, Aaron, anything to add to that, or any just final closing comments or closing words?
No, just thank you, and we look forward to the weekly segments with the different builders that we're working with, and shout out to some of your loyal listeners who are part of our great communities, BT Dwayne and Otis, and I wish I could see your audience right now to call them out, but I'm not in front of the X. But we really appreciate our communities, from the Bulls on the Block and Big Bull and everybody over there to STK and all the great communities there, and Clutch Puppies. And listen, we love NFTs. We love the space. We love the art. We love the tech. We love the degenery of it. And so every time we talk to a new collection and we sign a new collection, it's a really great thrill having heavy metal, STK, Clutch Puppies, Bulls on the Block, and then a bunch that will be announced soon. We're just excited because we know that we're going to be helping some really, really great builders and founders in the space. So we can't wait to talk to all the collections.
Love it. We're excited to talk to him as well. I am again genuinely excited for this campaign, as much or more than I have any we've ran so far, and we'll find some ways to do some fun stuff for our listeners as well. On anytime there's an opportunity to get back, maybe some of these, especially when we talk about some of these new, we haven't even talked about this, but when the marketplace goes live and some of these new collections, we'll have to find a way we can, get some of our Coffee with Captain community involved in that. Osiris says the apes look so great on that BMW in person. You got some fans, not just the tattoos, but the car wrap as well. And again, thanks for your time, Dave. Really appreciate it. Apologies for keeping you 37 minutes longer than planned, but enjoyed the conversation, a lot of interest from the chat, and excited to continue the conversation. We will have the guys back, not just we'll be highlighting their builders, we'll certainly have them back at some point as well in the near future. But this is, we've been alluding to some new partnerships, some new sponsors coming on board, and really honored to be working with you guys, and we're rooting for you. I think this is one that not just will be good for Unvault and the communities you're working with, the builders you're working with, but the space at large. And like I said, it's refreshing to have some new things coming live on chain. So thanks again, and appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your Monday. And for the rest of you, I do have one other news item, kind of breaking news. I don't think it's directly related to royalties, but I'll put my closest spin as I can on it. Maybe if they had protected royalties, they wouldn't have had to go this route. I'm referring to a recent post from Zach XBT here. Says major investigation dropping February 26 on one of crypto's most profitable businesses, where multiple employees abused internal data to insider trade over a prolonged period of time. Drop in the chat if you have any guesses who that might be. My first thought is either Pump Fun or Polymarket. Not taking shots at either of those. I'm just trying to think of profitable businesses. Potentially Hyperliquid. Those would be the three that come to mind as far as profitable businesses as of late, to where there could have been some front running or insider trading. But my guess is probably Pump Fun would be the first. Also unrelated, I guess. But Eric Trump deleting all his crypto tweets. Brace yourself. Can't wait to see what Ashley Decans has to say about that. I kid, but not in all seriousness. I do hope you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Outer Lumen will be joining us. I'm sure we'll hit on a little bit of Night of Seven Kingdoms in the cold open. And then Outer was vibe coding a project. Curious, no pressure, Outer. But curious, she said she was going to get that thing shipped. She'd mentioned it she had the idea last Tuesday and said she was going to have it done this Tuesday. So speaking of shipping things on chain, not that it's necessarily on chain, but I have no idea what she was building, but excited to learn more about it. In closing, if you've not yet, the Unvault account is up on stage on the audio spaces. Go give that thing a follow, and stay tuned for more builders being featured, courtesy of the Unvault team here. And we will certainly keep you updated when the marketplace goes live, when they hit their next phase here. But great to have you guys today. Really enjoyed the conversation. And everyone, as Steve would say, have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.